Listening to this show online. Just open up the WFUV app or head to WFUV.org.
The Fordham Football Rams regained their Rams Crusader Cup after 9 years with their victory Saturday over Holy Cross. That victory was Fordham's first of the year and in Patriot League play. The Rams are going to try to continue their success this week on the road. Back on the road for Fordham, a team that started 3 of their first 4 games on the road this season. Standing in their way, the Lafayette Leopards. The Leopards had their 3-game win streak snapped at the hands of Princeton last week. Their almost 400 yards offensively was not enough to offset their 3 turnovers that led to 21 Tiger points. 2 teams who want to stay or get back in the win column. It's Lafayette and Fordham from the great state of Pennsylvania, and it's next on WFUV Sports. Welcome to Easton, Pennsylvania, more specifically Fisher Stadium on the campus of Lafayette College. I'm Chris Carrino, joined by my partner Tucker Austin. Tucker, the traveling Fordham Rams come into this one off a win for the first time this season. That game had a lot of a run game that was prevalent in the first half, along with a second half defense that all came together, seemed to be the difference last week.
Yeah, and Joe Conlon has been trying to establish the run with this Fordham team all season long. Finally, in week 5, he gets someone in that running back room that's had a lot of heads in and out of it. He gets someone to step up in a big way, and that was Ricky Parks. He opened the scoring with a 45-yard rushing touchdown and wound up with 80-plus yards on the day on the ground. So now Fordham gets Jamel James back this week and gets that tandem of Parks and James, and they should do some damage today against Lafayette.
And they hadn't beat Holy Cross in 9 years up until last week. They haven't won 2 games in a row since October of 2023. How did they get that done today, Tucker?
Well, Chris, it's going to be a mix of that run game that they established last week and the pass game with Gunnar Smith. Gunnar Smith has had excellent performances in the last 2 games now. The Colgate game didn't go quite the way that they were hoping, but last week against Holy Cross, he goes 14 for 21, 254 yards with a touchdown in the air. Also 18 rushing yards with a touchdown on the ground to his name, so 2 on the day last week. Gunnar Smith has only been improving for this Fordham team, so it'll be a combination of his passing and the run game of Ricky Parks and Jamel James that Fordham needs to put together to get a win over Lafayette and win their 2nd game in a row.
A ton of importance in that backfield for Fordham's success going forward. We got the chance to talk to head football coach of the Fordham Rams, the one and only Joe Conlon. Take a listen to that now. Catching you live pregame before Lafayette and Fordham. We have the pleasure of being joined by head football coach for Fordham, Coach Joe Conlon. Coach, a victory last week, a rival of some sort in Holy Cross. I'm sure there's not a lot of personal anger there or, personal feelings there, but just generally talking about what a win does for the morale of this group.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
My run looked like fun.
Obviously, great to get a win, especially at home.
That's fine.
I regained it.
It sounded fine at the end. It sounded natural,
kind of
like you were actually you weren't reading it.
The second part I wasn't. The second question I wrote down when the last time they won.
Now, football fans, we ask everyone to please stand if you are able. Remove your hat and direct your attention to our nation's colors. Today, Lafayette Athletic honors America and those who serve and protect it with the playing of our national anthem by the Lafayette Pep Band.
And
Coach, you've been trying to implement the run game more and more every week, and last week the run game was a huge part of the win. So what allowed Ricky Parks and Johan Lee Lewis to combine for such an excellent performance?
Yeah, I think obviously the boys up front, I thought they had their best game against a really good Holy Cross front 7. I think, so they took that challenge. I think Ricky Parks ran really hard. That's how we need him to run every week. Johan, we think he's a really talented young kid. Obviously excited to get Jamel back this week. So, yeah, it was kind of a combination. And, Gunnar did a good job with his legs when he had his opportunities. Took the second touchdown or whatever that was, so it was just really kind of a good week of practice coming together, and the guys took a challenge against a really talented front, and paid off.
And talking about that run game and Gunnar specifically, how does his game how does that help his game when the run game is working?
Well, you know, a lot of the RPO stuff, you're reading safeties and things like that.
Yeah.
If you can force those guys to get a little more involved in the box, then, you know, it should open up some third-level RPOs and things like that. And, you know, hopefully, you know, if your backs are running the ball well, defensive ends get a little more interested in your backs and a little less interested in your quarterback, and he can do some damage with his legs. So, you know, it's all complementary and allows us to play better defense.
Coach James Conway is now 39 tackles shy of the FCS career tackles record. He picked up another 19 last week against Holy Cross. The numbers speak for themselves, but aside from those, how valuable is a guy like Conway to the defense and to the team as a whole?
And are you sick of hearing his records every week?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's obviously, I can't say enough good things about
Dude, he's so
James.
funny.
I'm
watching Alfred Hitchcock.
And that's, you know, the most important thing.
Hello and welcome to
You know, whatever he gets and whatever
Today's
he
football
wants,
game. This is the
it's already
2-1 FCS and Pigsy League matchup between the Fordham Rams.
We talked about that defense a couple weeks ago, where we talked about opposing defenses and the amount of unanswered points in the second half you guys were giving up, and how that was really hamstringing you guys late in games. It felt you completely flipped the script last week. Just talking unanswered points and what your defense did from a perspective on their own, but then how much help they gave that offense in the second half to go and take that game.
Yeah, I mean, they were awesome. You know, we kind of pulled them up at halftime and we said, boys, like, hey, you know, we're not executing. You know, they didn't have a very good first half. And we said, hey, we're not executing. Just, you know, calm down, do your job, play hard, have fun. And they absolutely did, you know, and they tackled really well in the second half. We had not done in the first. We were really good on third down, fourth down.
I want to talk about Fordham defense.
And
Sure.
you know, we're able to get enough pressure on the quarterback to knock him out of the game, get the backup in. And, you know, you certainly hope the kid's all right, but anytime you can disrupt an offense like that, you know, it's hugely beneficial.
Yeah, they didn't score after the second quarter. That was defensive effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And so can you speak a little bit to, like, this defense has had a lot of injuries among the starters this year. How impressed have you been to see the young guys stepping up into bigger roles and in huge spots last week against Holy Cross?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we were talking to the refs pregame, he was like, who are your captains? And I said, oh, 3 of them are out of this game. So, we only sent 2 to the coin toss and 1 was injured, right? So, yeah, I mean, that with 3 captains down among a host of other really good players makes it a challenge. But, yeah, I mean, the young guys are doing really well. You know, Ozzy came up big with the interception in the second half.
Vinny Ruga is wearing 8 because Rocco Grillo's not dressing, and Deron Hall is wearing 7 because Alec Hughes
really
isn't
the
dressing.
second quarter on, we kind of settled in, started playing really good football. Nate Lindsey's back, it's great to have him. So, yeah, a lot of young guys out there. Tyler Davis played really in his first act. He played a little bit against Colgate, and was a big factor in that game. So yeah, I mean, it's fun. You know, we really think the world of those guys. We think they're really good young players, and so to see them getting out there and executing and playing with confidence is great.
And it's always good to get 3 in a punt, but how much are you guys valuing those turnovers? You just mentioned that Osborne one late in the game. Is that something you guys are accentuating in film, things like that?
Oh yeah, I mean it's a constant thing. I mean anytime you can get the ball on the ground or intercept it or whatever, that's a huge, for a lot of reasons, momentum and things like that. So yeah, I mean it's critical, and you know, hopefully something we carry over to this week.
Yeah, and Lafayette's main running back, Kente Edwards, leads the Patriot League in touchdowns this year with 10 through 5 weeks. Last week, though, Princeton really kept a lid on him. So how have you prepped the defense to deal with such a
I might
prolific
bring up the
runner?
fact
Yeah,
that
he's
they're
really good.
missing
He's
Kente
fast,
Edwards,
tough,
and that
runs
should
hard.
help the
They do
defense.
kind of a nice job. They don't do a lot. They just do a nice job kind of doing what they do.
And I can use that to
You know,
pivot that into
comes down
Lafayette talk.
to being
want to
gaps
mention
down,
Yeah.
keeping the ball on the right shoulder, maintaining leverage.
Fisher
Getting
Stadium, right?
hands to the ball.
Yes.
Slow down a kid like
I don't
this.
see it said anywhere.
Well, it's not set on the field, but it's the
Third
Francis
line
C.
coach.
Fisher Memorial Scoreboard, and it's the field is named after that guy. But it's Fisher Field and Fisher Stadium, technically, because after the renovations, it became a stadium.
And Lafayette has gained some sort of resume and some sort of notoriety.
Well, it's been named after this guy
Patriots,
since
their head coach
1929.
having his 200th
with
game
Coffee- Joe Coffee Field.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Can
Coffee
you just
Field.
talk about those battles you guys have had? You guys obviously coached against each other last year.
Dude, this
You've done
question was
before
funny,
then. Just
because
talk
you had
about
everything
the
right
respect you
except
have
the
for
fact
him
that
and
Joe
sort of
Conlon
what they've
does
done
not
for
know.
Patriots.
He does, though. He's coached against him at least 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah, sure. Like,
Yeah, I mean, they're sound, both sides of the ball. I think they're really well coached. They play well, they play hard. They take care of the football, they try to force turnovers. They play a really good brand of football, so you have to take care of the football and play your game if you're going to have success against these guys.
Fordham and Lafayette are next. Thank you, Coach Joe Conlon. We'll be right back with WFUV Sports.
Back here in Pennsylvania, beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. Tucker, we just heard Coach Joe Conlon talking about that defense. The Fordham defense, 0 points allowed in the second half last week against Holy Cross. Unanswered points has been the Achilles heel of this Fordham team all season long. That defensive effort in the second half obviously led by James Conway, 19 total tackles, including a sack. We've come to expect that from James Conway, but maybe not this defense as a unit.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. This defense has struggled mightily this year. Through the first 4 games of the season, they couldn't hold an opponent to under 40 points, but then against Holy Cross, they managed to hold them entirely scoreless in that second half, and that allowed Fordham to take the lead in the early part of the second half and then keep that lead through to the end. Like you mentioned, James Conway's 19 tackles, that was good enough for Week 5 Patriot League Defensive Player of the Week. He also received national honors at the FCS level. He was the Stats Perform FCS National Defensive Player of the Week for his 19 tackle performance. James Conway has been doing incredible things all season for the Fordham Rams, but I also look to who's injured on this Fordham defense as to what could possibly impact them. Alex Kemper going to be out again this week. He's still injured and has been so for multiple games.
Along with Cloudy Robinson.
Cloudy
as well.
Robinson
2
as well.
captains of this Fordham defense.
Yes, 2 captains of the team as a whole, but especially of the defense, Chris, are still missing. However, Fordham is going to be helped a little bit today by the fact that Lafayette lead running back Kente Edwards is actually out today. He's missing today's game for personal reasons, so the weight of the run game for Lafayette is going to fall on running back number 2, Ethan Weber.
Yeah. Ethan Weber, along with Jakiri Henley, they're going to take sort of dual touches in that backfield. Between Weber and Edwards together, they've obviously had a fantastic season. 90 of the 157 points scored by this Lafayette team this season. Ben DeNoble, the guy who's going to be commanding this Lafayette offense. He has been quarterbacking here for a few years now, coming off a broken leg injury last season. Maybe wasn't at his full capability, but this season, Tucker, we've seen him back to the form they've expected him at in years prior.
Yeah, through the first 5 games of the season, DeNoble has 83 completions on 126 attempts for 971 yards, Chris, almost 1,000 through the first 5 games of the season. He's thrown 4 touchdowns, but he has thrown 3 interceptions. Add a rushing touchdown to that total, and it becomes 4-4, or 5-3, excuse me. And DeNoble has really done a good job leading this Lafayette team. They've played a little bit better than they expected to in this season. Fordham, though, coming off of a win against Holy Cross, is going to hope to roll that momentum through into this week. And like we've been talking about, Chris, looking for a second win in a row for the first time in quite some time.
Here in Easton, Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful day here, sunny skies, 76 degrees, as perfect as it can be for some football weather. Fordham in their white uniforms with maroon pants, and the Lafayette Leopards in full maroon with white helmets and an L decal on the helmet. It will be Bennett Henderson of Fordham kicking it off today for the Rams. Rams kicking it off, and the Leopards will start off offensively. There it goes. Bennett Henderson kicking it off. It'll go through the end zone for a touchback, and we're off to the races, Tucker.
Off to the races indeed, Chris, and the Fordham defense will be the first squad to take the field this afternoon against the Lafayette offense, of course. But the Fordham defense, I'm interested to see what they can put together on this opening drive. Obviously looking for a stop, but if they can get a quick 3-and-out, give the ball to Gunnar Smith, as quick as they possibly can, Fordham is going to look to get ahead and score early and often in this one against the Leopards.
It's going to be Lafayette starting it off offensively. As I said, they'll start on their own 25. Ben DeNoble, as we said, leading this Lafayette offense. He's in the shotgun, has Ja'Kyrie Henry to his right, throws it to Henley. Henley has it in the flat, the far flat, tries to run over a defender, ends up picking up 1 or 2 yards, and that'll set up second down.
Nice little dump off to Ja'Kyrie Henley there. Only gets the 1 yard, though. It's a good stop by the Fordham defense.
Good stop from the Fordham defense on first down there. The Lafayette Leopards going right to left, Fordham going left to right. 2nd and 9 here for the Lafayette Leopards. DeNoble in the shotgun, takes the snap, gives the handoff. Doesn't get much there. Fordham in the backfield to make the stop. Ethan Weber couldn't get anything going there, and that sets up 3rd and long.
Great play by John Scott. Dives through the line of scrimmage and immediately wraps up Edwards, brings him down.
First 45 seconds of this matchup, already a 3rd down. 3rd and 8. Lafayette on their own 27. DeNoble in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his right, none to his left. Has Ethan Weber directly to his right. Wide receiver moving in motion. That's Stewart. He's on the left. DeNoble takes the snap, looks to throw, finds Stewart, catches it on a comeback route, shakes off a defender, is still running, finally pushed out of bounds at the 45. What a play from Elijah Stewart.
Whoa, Elijah Stewart breaking out the athleticism on the first drive. He hurdles a man at the 40-yard line for a huge pickup for Lafayette, now across midfield.
Yeah, was completely wrapped by T.J. Jones Jr. at the 40-yard line. Still got a couple yards there. Lafayette now past the 50 at the 46 on first down. Throw a screen pass on the near sideline. Pick up a couple yards getting to the 40, and that'll set up second down.
Carson Persing that time the target. Another completion for DeNoble early on in this one. Lafayette moving very efficiently to start this game.
Ball on the 42, Fordham 42, 2nd and 5. Picked up 5 yards on the last play on that completion from Persing.
Gain of 5, 2nd and 5.
It's DeNoble in the shotgun once again. 2nd and 5. Ball on the Fordham 42, 42 yards to the end zone. Has a man in motion, it's Persing. Decides to fake the handoff, drops back, DeNoble looking deep. Overthrows Stewart on a long pass, and that'll set up 3rd down. Big eyes there from DeNoble.
Yeah, and Stewart was running a post route across the middle of the field. He had the safety beat for the Fordham Rams, but that ball was overthrown by about 5 or 6 yards. Just no chance for Stewart on that one.
Ambitious play there from Lafayette. They'll regroup on 3rd down. 3rd and 5, ball still on the 42. Shotgun formation for DeNoble. Weber to his right. Brings Page in motion into the backfield, hands it off to him. Wide receiver gets a handoff, gets past the 40, finally stopped around the 38-yard line. That will be just short of a 1st down.
And Drew Minnick came flying through to make the tackle there. He is still down on the field after that play. It was a great play by Minnick to get the running back down near the original line of scrimmage, but we'll have to wait and see if he's okay. That would be another costly loss to this Fordham defense, Chris.
Yeah, Minnick started every game at strong safety so far this season. Sophomore's had a very impressive season up to this point. His first real injury trouble so far. 4th and 3 yards for Lafayette to get, and I think we'll get a punt here, Tucker.
It looks like it's probably punt territory, although Fordham's opponents this season have had a tendency not to boot the ball away on 4th down. With the ball on the 40-yard line, it's not quite field goal range, but with only 3 yards to go before the 1st down, I feel like Lafayette will probably send the offense back out here and go for it on 4th down.
It'd be very ambitious. Just a couple minutes into this first quarter, 12:31 to go in the first quarter, a 4th and 3 for Lafayette. Obviously the biggest play up to this point in this game so far. DeNoble doing a decent job getting up the field, had a completion to Persing had a few runs work well for them. It seems the run game really opens up everything for this Lafayette offense, Tucker.
It really does, but they've been leaning heavily on the pass in this opening drive. They go back to the run kind of just to establish that it's there. The Fordham defense has done a better job against the run so far in this first drive. They haven't gotten many yards off the run, but the fact that they've been watching the run so keenly have the Fordham defenders, it's opened up a couple of things. And specifically with that Stewart incompletion near the 10-yard line, if that ball is on target, Lafayette is set up on the doorstep of the goal line. But obviously that drops incomplete, and so they're stuck back here at the 40 on 4th down. Still think it's a go-for-it scenario, but they've worked it into a place where I don't think Joe Conlon really knows whether or not the Leopards are going to bring a run here or bring a short pass.
Had a lot of time on the throw there for DeNoble. Cloudy Robinson out, one of the captains for this Fordham defense. Carter Hess is in for him. We'll see if that front seven for Fordham can still cause some havoc. Did a really good job last week. DeNoble in a huddle. It seems like they're going to have the offense out there. It looks like the Leopards are going to go for it. 4th and 3 on the Fordham 40. Biggest play of the game so far. 12:29 to go in the first quarter. DeNoble in the shotgun, running back directly behind him, fakes the handoff, rolls out right, looks for a pass, finds his receiver for a catch. Mason Keener on the grab. First down, Leopards past the 30.
And that's just a really great job by DeNoble to read the defense. Fordham loaded the box and sent the house, dropped a couple of linebackers into coverage, but he had a receiver running a corner, and he beat his defender, and it's a great catch near the 20.
Mason Keener known for his returning his special teams prowess, doing it on the offensive end there. DeNoble in the shotgun, first down, ball in the 28. And there's a flag there pre-snap. Seems like it'll be a false start on the Leopard offense. Yeah, that one's going to be on number 1, Elijah Stewart. It's going to stay first down, going to push back this Lafayette offense a little bit, but still in a decent position for this offense.
That's a big help for the Fordham defense after giving up a 4th down play, a 4th down conversion that went well beyond the sticks.
1st and 15 for the Colgate offense after the penalty. Ball in the Fordham 33. DeNoble in the shotgun once again. Snaps back, fakes the handoff, or gives the handoff. Seems Weber will get a couple yards there, right around the 30-yard line for around a 3-yard pickup, and that'll set up 2nd and long.
Yeah, multiple Fordham hats there.
Great fake from DeNoble. He got me, Tucker.
Yes, the deception really working for the Leopards early on. Jack Lowe, the senior D-end, was one of the first ones on the ball there to stop it for maybe 1 or 2 yards.
Sam Burkle, the other defensive tackle playing next to him, missed weeks 3 and 4. He was back last week against Holy Cross. 2nd and 11. Leopards looking to get into that red zone. Ball on the Fordham 29. It's a fake off and a lateral. He's now running from the backfield. Weber finally taken down right before the 25. Didn't end up getting a ton of yards, but he ran a long way, Tucker.
Yeah, got back to the original line of scrimmage and nearly got the edge, but Fordham managed to keep contain on the outside and keep him from really blowing up that play. It's going to be 3rd down and long now.
Lafayette opening the bag of tricks early in this game. 3rd and 9 on the Fordham 27. In the shotgun once again for DeNoble. Has Persing in the motion. Now on the right side. 2 receivers to his left. DeNoble snaps for the claps for the snap. Drops back to pass. Rolling left, throws it up the middle to his running back. Eventually taken down right in front of the first down marker. Gets the first down on 3rd down. Very important conversion there for the Leopards.
I'm not sure, Chris. This could be about a yard short. I think it's going to bring up another 4th down.
They marked it a yard short. 4th and 1 on the 19.
It was a nice play, though, to just dump it off to the running back immediately past the line of scrimmage in the middle of the field. And Lafayette did a really good job to come back from that false start penalty and gain 14 yards now to 4th and 1.
It's a very close 4th and 1 on the Fordham 19. DeNoble claps for the snap once again. Gives it off to his running back. Weber up the middle, trying to ground and pound through that D-line. I believe he got it. There's going to be some dispute. We'll see where the spot is.
I've got it short, Chris.
I think he's short. We see some hands up for the Fordham defense, some fists up for the Fordham defense, and I believe the Rams got to stop.
Huge, huge stop for the Fordham Rams right there. Lafayette was nearly into the red zone. That play would have put them into the red zone if they had gotten the first down. But it was Jack Lowe once again for the Fordham Rams, stuffing the running back right in the hole at the line of scrimmage and getting a huge stop on fourth down after Lafayette had already converted on fourth earlier in the drive.
Yeah, can you just, from a certain perspective, looking at the beginning of that drive, it didn't seem a lot of the positive trends from last week for this defense were going to persist, but toward the end of that drive, it looked like that defense we saw last week.
Well, I think Lafayette really shouldn't have gone away from the pass at the end of that drive. The pass was working the whole time. The run game was not getting as many yards as they would have liked, but they go to the run again on 4th and 1, and Fordham stuffs it this time.
Fordham, fourth down stop in the red zone. Fordham offense will take over. It's Gunnar Smith on his own 19, 1st and 10 to start the drive. In the shotgun. Got Ricky Parks directly to his right, hands it to Ricky. Ricky will go up the middle, do a juke, go up the left lane of the line, and eventually stopped at the 35. A nice big chunk run play for Ricky Parks.
And a huge hole opened up on the left side of the Fordham offensive line right next to the tackle. Ricky Parks hits the hole immediately and launches through for 15.
First down and 15 yards, as Tucker said. Ball on the 34 for Fordham, their own 34. 1st and 10 once again. Fakes the handoff, throws a wide receiver screen, far sideline, taken down almost immediately, and that'll continue moving this Fordham team along. 2nd down.
That time, Ricky Gonzalez on the catch. A little wide receiver screen, like you said. Gonzalez had a bit of an impact last week after his first game back in.
It'll be 2nd and 6 for the Fordham Rams. Snap back for Smith. Smith throwing it once again on that far sideline. Another completion. That'll set up 3rd and short, I believe. 3rd and 3.
They're going back to the hot hand in Ricky Gonzalez. 2 straight passes. I would look for him again. Lafayette going to line up 2 defenders on his side of the field, though.
Still nothing after the Fordham stop. 3rd down for the Fordham Rams offense. 3rd and 1, the D-line all over it, and Lafayette gets the stop on 3rd down.
Yeah, 3rd down and short. It became a bit of an obvious run scenario when the last 2 plays both went to Ricky Gonzalez on that far sideline. Fordham going to run out the punt unit now after a very, very short opening drive and a disappointing drive for this Fordham offense.
It's going to be Devin Page back for Lafayette to receive this punt. Will Hazlitt to kick it off for the Rams. Devin Page set up on the 15-yard line to take this one. Hazlitt kicking this from his own 30. Sends it off a long spiraling kick. Lands past the 30 and bounces backwards out of bounds. And it seems like Lafayette will take over right before the 30 in their own territory.
Will Hazlitt adding to his punt yards total and his punts total on the season. Leads the Patriot League in punts and yards. Of course, he was a preseason favorite to win Punter of the Year in the FCS. Will Hazlitt doing his job once again. He pins Lafayette inside their own 30 for their second drive of the afternoon.
And now Lafayette getting the ball back, Tucker, at their first drive. They got stopped on 4th down in the red zone. They're going to want to be a little more successful on the second drive.
I'm sure they'll probably lean on the pass a lot more in this second drive than they did in the first. They tried to work the run in a little bit here and there in that opening drive, but Fordham's defense was all over the running game. So I really expect Ginobili to start trying to take the top off of this Fordham defense.
Yeah, we saw it once on that post, or the attempted post pass to Elijah Stewart. That would have been for almost 40 or 50 yards. And we even saw a lateral in the backfield at one point. It seems like Lafayette not just staying boring and normal today, going to maybe pull out some tricks.
Yeah, mixing it up a little bit, trying to keep Fordham on their toes, maybe catch them off guard in the running game, specifically with that lateral play in the backfield, trying to just use misdirection to get Fordham's defense moving one way when the play is really going another way. But again, I really think that Lafayette has had more success passing the ball in that first drive, and they'll probably lean on that some more with Fordham playing heavily to stop the run in the early going.
Fordham getting a stop on their first drive defensively. It was a 4th down stop in the red zone. Now Lafayette gets the ball back after a quick 3-and-out from the Fordham offense. Fordham offense showed a lot of promise, especially in the second half of their game last week. Gunnar Smith, another, I would say, positive outing. He keeps seemingly improving as the season goes along.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that Gunnar Smith from week 1 now to week 6 has taken massive steps forward as the leader of this Fordham offense. Initially, I think he came in super confident to try and take on this role as the head of Fordham's offense. And as time has gone on, he's gotten slightly more comfortable with each start. Even going into like some of their first 4 losses, he still had good games against Monmouth and against Colgate, and then it finally came to fruition last week against Holy Cross.
Ben DeNoble taking over for the Lafayette offense on his own 27-yard line. First down, going to start the drive here. DeNoble, another captain once again this season. 2 straight seasons of team captain, 10th player in program history to be a team captain back-to-back seasons. DeNoble in the shotgun, empty backfield behind him. Has a running back way behind him, actually. It's Henley. Henley going through a few defenders, eventually taken down right before the 35. Tucker, I have never seen that sort of formation before.
Yeah, Ja'Kyrie Henley was lined up maybe 7 or 8 yards off the football on the left side of the field. He came sprinting up to the line of scrimmage immediately, and DeNoble hit him near the line of scrimmage, and then he used that momentum to carry him forward for 7 yards.
Bag of tricks continue for Lafayette. 2nd and 3, 7-yard pickup on that weird play there. Ball on the 34. It's going to be a jet sweep pass. A hurdle. Eventually past the 40, eventually stopped around the 35. Another unorthodox play for this Lafayette offense, that time on the jet sweep.
Yeah, and it was Elijah Stewart again, who did a hurdle on the near sideline in the first drive. He hurdles on the far sideline in the second drive, doing anything he can to get that extra yard or 2.
That was good enough for a first down. Ball on the 44, trying to get past the 50. 1st and 10, DeNoble in the shotgun. Henley to his left. He's rolling out left. Throwing it, wide receiver Persing, shaking off a defender, spinning past a defender, taken down, called the 42, past the 50. Lafayette is moving and moving fast.
Yeah, across midfield with another roughly 15-yard gain in the passing game. Lafayette leaning on the pass in this second drive, really staying away from the run game and kind of exposing the Fordham defense here as they have been looking run since the start of this one.
Leopards continuing to opt no huddle. 1st and 10, ball in the Fordham 43, past the 50. DeNoble in the shotgun, 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Henley directly to his right in the backfield. DeNoble sending phantom claps, then claps for the snap. Gives to Henley, up the middle, doesn't get many yards, enough to get past the 40 and get stuck finally at the 43. It'll be a 2nd and short.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Ja'Kyrie Henry lined up at backup running back with Kente Edwards out this week.
DeNoble still moving fast. Now 2nd and 6. Ball on the 39. No huddle once again. DeNoble fakes the handoff. Goes deep. A lot of congestion leads to no catch there. An incompletion deep around the 10-yard line. And a good stop there for the Fordham Rams, avoiding disaster.
Yeah, avoiding disaster indeed. That time it was Matthew Skirbo, the intended target, 20, 30 yards down the field, and it just goes through his hands. Another long incompletion for DeNoble.
Matthew Skirbo deep on the depth chart. A lot of wide receivers being used this afternoon. DeNoble setting up in the shotgun once again. This Lafayette team's wasting no time. Must be trying to watch the Yankee game after this or something like that. Lafayette takes the snap. DeNoble drops back. 4-step drop. Rolling right. Gives to Henley. In the flat. Still running. Past the 30. Past the 25. Thrown out of bounds around the 20. What a play by Henley. No one around him.
This one's coming back, Chris. Right tackle Reed Collins is going to get whistled for the hold that he committed against John Scott III playing on the 2nd level. It's the whole reason why Henley was able to break free.
Great eyes there from you, Tucker. That was a big play Fordham avoids there. That would not have helped this Fordham defense.
The actual call on the field from the head referee, Chris, was a illegal blindside block. So excuse me on that one, but Lafayette is still going to be backed up a little bit here.
Ethan Weber subs in for Ja'Kyrie Henley in the halfback position for Lafayette. It's a 3rd and 6 after the penalty, 3rd and 9. Or a 39-yard line, pushed all the way back.
Yeah, it's going to be much longer than the 6 they have displayed on the scoreboard right now, Chris. It looks like maybe 3rd down and 20, maybe 21.
Originally a 3rd and 6, now a 3rd and 21, 15 yards on the penalty. They're backed all the way up to the 46, past the 50-yard line. They've gone back and forth with this 50-yard line. DeNoble takes the snap in the shotgun, throws it to a slant, evading a few defenders, eventually taken down. Devin Page on the reception, eventually taken down at the 45.
There's more laundry, Chris. There's a flag in the backfield this time. I believe this one could be against the Fordham Rams if it's some kind of a roughing the quarterback. DeNoble got up immediately after he was brought down after getting the ball loose.
Flag thrown in the backfield. It's going to be a face mask on the offense. It's something you don't see super often. It's going to be another penalty for Lafayette. They're going to turn the ball back over to Fordham.
Very interesting, Chris. Usually when a quarterback is on the turf and he gets up asking for a flag, it's usually some kind of a roughing the passer. But this time, it's another offensive line penalty for Lafayette. That's their third line penalty of the game between the false start, the illegal blindside block, and now this face mask, and Lafayette will punt it away.
Jack Freeberger, the Fordham Rams, back as punt returner. He's set up on the 10-yard line. It's Christian Bush, the punter for Lafayette, sending it off deep and spiraling as well. And Freeberg will catch that one on the 3-yard line, pinned all the way back. Fordham offense going to have to go a long way, Tucker.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough drive to start on your own 3 for the Fordham Rams, especially the way that their first drive went. I have to imagine they'll probably try to use the passing game to break free from their own end of the field. But Ricky Parks did get a little bit of an explosive run on that first drive. He went for about 15 earlier on in Fordham's first drive. So Joe Conlon, that's the beauty of the options that you get when you have a real RB1 in Ricky Parks. And we've still not seen Jamel James yet in this game. But
well, you see him right there. Jamel James in the game for the Fordham Rams. Gunnar Smith set up in his own end zone to set this one off. 1st and 10 at their own 3-yard line. Jamel James in the backfield. Faking the handoff, throw wide receiver screen on that deep far sideline, and he's running. He's still running, finally taken down past the 45, at the 40. What a run and what a play.
Troy Worrell, get in there. What a play. He runs around his screen near the 15-yard line, and there was absolutely nobody home down the field for Lafayette. He gets a massive pickup. You could call it probably a 50-yard reception for Troy Worrell.
Most unorthodox big chunk play of the Fordham season so far. Troy Worrell running almost that entire far sideline and eventually setting up Fordham Rams past the 50. So much for that bad field position, Tucker. 1st and 10. Lafayette 47. Gunner in the shotgun. Jamel James to his right. Claps for the snap. Fakes the handoff. Throwing that far sideline. Wide receiver screen once again. Ricky Gonzalez gets around 6 yards on the catch, not as much as Troy Worrell, but works once again to move the Fordham Rams up the field.
Yeah, Fordham going to the same side of the field where they went with Worrell. I don't hate the plan there. They go to the soft side of the field against Lafayette. They pick up another medium gain to set up a 2nd and short.
Ricky Gonzalez, 3 receptions are already a season high. His career high is 4. Smith lets that one off quickly on the far sideline, and another catch. Fordham Rams stringing up completions, that time to Ricky Gonzalez once again right before the 30-yard line. That'll be a 10-yard completion setting up 1st down.
Yeah, Fordham going to Ricky Gonzalez for the 3rd time in this game. He's been sorely missed in this wide receiver room for the Fordham Rams. Came back after missing 2 games for injury last week and now making an impact early in this one as well.
1st and 10 for the Rams offense. Ball on the Lafayette 31. 11 yards to the red zone. Smith fakes the handoff and decides to run. Gunner finally upended past the 30-yard line. Call it the 34-yard line, and that'll set up 3rd down.
Yeah, nice 27. Nice play there by the D-back Davis Oliver Goodwin, who stepped up and, like you said, literally upended Gunnar Smith. It was one of the slowest hits I think I've seen in a while.
Is that more brutal or less brutal?
Almost in slow motion as Gunnar Smith goes head over heels.
Ball on the 27, my mistake there. 2nd and 6 for the Rams offense. Smith in the shotgun once again. Gives the handoff this time. Gets a few yards there. Johan Lee Lewis on his first touch, and he sets up 3rd and short. That'll be a 5-yard pickup.
And Lewis, that's his first touch to the game. He had a great week last week. Patriot League Rookie of the Week.
That'll be a quick setup on 3rd down. 3rd and 1, almost 3rd and inches. Fordham setting up in the tush-push formation.
Seen it a couple times before, Chris. We'll see if they can get it to work on 3rd and 1.
Of a tight end and Worrell behind him. Smith pushed. Laundry on the field. Not sure they'll get the benefit of the doubt the Eagles' offensive line does. That might be a false start. No, it's pointing the other way. That's a Lafayette penalty. Offsides defense, Lafayette. That'll be a penalty for Lafayette, and that'll help out the Fordham Rams once again.
Well, I think Fordham got the first down on the ground anyway, as you saw and you called out the line judge signaling for a first down, but either way, Fordham gets the first courtesy of the Lafayette penalty.
Yeah, because of the Lafayette penalty. First down, Fordham Rams, 1st and 10, ball in the 17, now in the red zone. Smith in the shotgun. It's a time called by the official. And that's going to be a timeout for the Leopards. Leopards need to talk it over. Fordham Rams moving fast down the field, only 17 yards to the goal line.
Yeah, and it was totally created by that Troy Worrell 50-yard reception to break Fordham out from their own 3-yard line. Throw together a couple of short receptions for Ricky Gonzalez and Johan Lee Lewis getting involved in the run game. And Fordham is getting mightily close to putting the first points of the game on the board here, Chris.
0-0 here in Easton, Pennsylvania. 1:27 to go in the first quarter. It's Fordham and Lafayette. We'll take a little break from PA. We'll be right back with Fordham Football on WFUV Sports.
What's up, everybody? It's Tucker Austin, one of WFUV Sports' New York Yankees beat reporters in 2025. Aaron Judge and company are hungry to return to the Fall Classic to avenge their defeat last season. Follow me on X at @T_Austin_24 for live game updates, video recaps, and more as the Bronx Bombers chase their 28th World Series championship. WFUV Sports is your home for everything New York Yankees.
Of Lafayette College.
Back here on the campus of Lafayette College, still nothing scoreless on this 12:30 early afternoon game. 1:27 to go in the first quarter. Fordham finds themselves in a fantastic spot. A few stops defensively, and now Gunnar Smith and the Fordham offense moving up the field and find themselves in the red zone.
Yeah, in the red zone indeed, Chris. They're going to try and punch this one into the end zone. Taking a lead in this game would be so huge for this Fordham team, especially the way that the defense is playing early on in this one. They've had a couple of stops so far, and they've been making plenty of really, really nice plays despite all of the injuries to this defense. Fordham's offense had a really, really rough first drive of this game, but this second drive has gone so much better. Really, it's been almost an air raid by the Fordham Rams in the passing attack. They've gotten a little bit done on the ground, but easily much more yards in the passing game so far, courtesy mostly of that Worrell.
Gunnar Smith fantastic so far, 5 for 5 for 75 yards. 1st and 10 for the Fordham offense, ball on the 17. Smith in the shotgun. Got Jamel James directly to his left, a tight end in front of him playing fullback. Smith takes the snap, hands to James up the middle, and he is squashed. That defensive line was there in a hurry. Philip Pfeiffer there to lead the charge for the Leopards.
Great job by the D-line of Lafayette. They've gotten a great push against the offensive line of Fordham multiple times in this game, and they're shutting down the run game at the line of scrimmage, much like Fordham is.
2nd and 11 after the loss. Ball on the 18. Smith claps for the snap, drops back to pass, finds James in the far flat, and he's blown up. Destroyed in the backfield by Ryan Gadsden, the sophomore from Fort Myers, Florida. You can hear that one from Fort Myers, Florida, and that sets up 3rd and long.
Yeah, Gadsden making a really, really high-level play on the far side of the field. Open field tackle against a running back out of the backfield on the catch.
The sophomore had missed the last 2 weeks after starting the first 3. He's back this week after injury. Smith, 3rd and 14. Find themselves just on the outside of the red zone. Ball at the 21. Big play for the Rams. 3rd and 14. Snaps back to pass. Smith, blindside hit. Ball is loose. Picked up by Lafayette. What a play by the Lafayette defense. It's Beckham D, the freshman from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he made quite possibly the biggest play for the Leopards this afternoon.
Yeah, what an incredible play by Beckham D. He leads this Lafayette team in tackles with 31 and in assists with 15. And like you said, he is a freshman doing all of this. Gunnar Smith was looking for either Jabril Carter or Troy Worrell on that right side of the field, looking for the end zone, and he had no idea that there was a Lafayette defender flying in from the left side. And like you said, blindside, hits square in the back, ball comes free, and it's recovered by D.
Beckham D started every game of this season so far, and for good reason, obviously. Getting the ball back for his offense. Lafayette offense starting quickly. DeNoble in the shotgun, ball at the 30. They'll have 70 yards to go. 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Running back directly to his right. DeNoble back to pass. Now has to scramble right. Finds his running back. Running back picks up a couple yards past the 30, finally taken down at the 32. Couldn't do too much there, but nice improvisation from DeNoble.
Yeah, just finding an emergency pass was DeNoble that time. He finds Ethan Weber, who had just barely released from the line of scrimmage out down the field, and he had a Fordham defender in Sam Burkle bearing down on him in the backfield, but he gets that one loose and picks up a gain of 4.
Weber 18 carries last week for 76 yards, and that's it for our first quarter. First quarter winds down in between plays there, and 2 big huddles for both teams back on the field. We'll take a little break here from Pennsylvania. We're going to send it back to the Rose Hill Studios. Nothing after the first between Lafayette and Fordham. And here's a one-on-one update report from Gabby Price. Take it over, Gabby.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Well, it's finally Saturday, and you know what that means. College football all day. Starting in the Patriot League, the first slated game started at 12 noon with the Stonehill Skyhawks visiting the Duquesne Dukes. The Dukes lead 6-0. The Richmond Spiders are away against the Bucknell Bison. They are winning 21-14 right now. Also in Pennsylvania, Lehigh is hosting the Yale Bulldogs. The score there is 14-0 for Lehigh. Fordham's opponent next week, Dartmouth Big Green, started off at 1 p.m. They are away against the Penn Quakers. Looking around the nation, Clemson and North Carolina are going head-to-head. UNC has some work to do. Score there is 28-3. Georgia and Kentucky are also in action. Georgia leads 14-7. And finally, Wisconsin is at Michigan. Score there is tied at 7. With your one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Gabby Price.
Thank you to Gabby back in the studio. We'll hear from her in the halftime report back at the Rose Hill studio at halftime. For now, after the first quarter, nothing in this one, Tucker. We've seen both of these offenses have pretty successful and impressive drives, but no points have amounted from either offense yet.
Yeah, it's been really excellent stops by both defenses. For Fordham, it was down near their own 20-yard line where they managed to get a 4th down stop against Lafayette on their second drive of the game. Then Fordham came all the way down the other end of the field after a punt pinned them at the 3. Troy Worrell with a massive reception for more than 50 yards to break them out of their own end. But then Fordham got into the red zone of Lafayette, and Gunnar Smith blindsided by a hit. He loses the football, and it's recovered by the Leopards. It's another costly turnover for this Fordham team, who haven't had many games this year where they haven't had a turnover on offense. But now Lafayette is driving, but this Fordham defense has been playing really solid, carrying over that performance from last week against Holy Cross into this game against Lafayette today. And they've been looking very solid against a Lafayette team that's been looking to attack in the passing game, Chris, likely due to the fact that they don't have their usual 1-2 punch of Kente Edwards and Ethan Weber, relying on just Weber today.
Yeah, relying on just Weber today in the backfield along with Jakiri Henley. Jakiri Henley kind of in and out of that running back room and in and out of touches as this season has gone along. James Conway, a big part of that defensive stopping of Holy Cross last week, and this week already with 4 assist tackles just to start in that first quarter. He's kind of taking back right where he left off.
going to be interesting to see how the penalties stack up for these two teams as the game continues. Fordham has played a clean game through the first 15 minutes. Meanwhile, Lafayette's picked up 3 penalties for 25 total yards, most of them from the offensive line. So a bit of sloppy execution, but Lafayette has still been moving the ball pretty efficiently.
And they're going to try and move the ball here. Leopards on their own 34-yard line, 2nd and 6. DeNoble in the shotgun, has Henley directly to his left. 3 receivers directly to his left. Claps for the snap, fakes the pass to Henley, then gives it to him in the flat. In the far flat, gets a few yards, eventually taken down right around the 37-yard line. And that'll set up, after the 3rd-yard gain, a third and 3.
Yeah, James Conway adding another tackle to his Patriot League and Fordham all-time record.
It's going to be actually a 3rd and 2, ball on the 38. Big 3rd down for DeNoble and this Leopard offense. Still in their own territory on the 38. 14 and a half minutes and counting on this first half clock. DeNoble bringing a wide receiver in motion. Persing going from right to left. DeNoble rolling out right. Finding a receiver, Keener. Right around that near sideline, taken down right after the catch and taken down right before the 45-yard line.
T.J. Jones, the second involved on the coverage there, gets him out of bounds, but not before Lafayette can move the sticks here. Ball on the 45.
Ball on the 45. It'll be a first down on that play. First down and 10. Ball on their own 45, just on the precipice of the 50-yard line. DeNoble. Running back Ethan Weber to his left in the shotgun once again. Only shotgun formations for the Leopard offense so far. DeNoble, snap back, fakes the handoff, throws on the near sideline. A bit of miscommunication between him and Keener, and it'll be an incomplete pass. It was Justin Johnson on the coverage.
Yeah, very, very sticky coverage on that right side of the field. Fordham has been doing a pretty decent job in covering their man on either side of the field when it comes to the passing game. Only when they've gone to the zone have they been nearly exposed by DeNoble and this Lafayette passing game.
3 receivers stacked on the near sideline. Shotgun for DeNoble once again. 2nd and 10. Ball on the 45. Throws it in the near flat. Finds his receiver, Jonathan Moyer, the sophomore. He'll pick up a few yards past the 45, and that'll set up 3rd down. 3rd and 6.
Who else but James Conway to cut that play down before he could get any more yards. A 4-yard gain that could have easily turned into 10 or maybe 15. There was plenty of green space on that side of the field.
Yeah, good defensive work from the Rams here in the flat all drive so far. 3rd and 6 for the Leopards. Ball on the 49. Has Elijah Stewart in motion. 2 receivers to the right. That'll be a timeout called by the Fordham offense. Joe Comlin on that far sideline needing to talk it over with his defense. 13-11 to go in this first half. Tucker, it's 0-0 on the scoreboard between Lafayette and Fordham. It hasn't felt that way. It's felt like a very exciting scoreless game.
Absolutely, Chris. And certainly both teams have had opportunities where they were well within scoring range, but neither team has managed to find those opening points. Lafayette was near field goal range when they went for that first 4th down conversion, got it, continued the drive, but then penalties backed them out of range once again. Fordham, of course, was inside the red zone of Lafayette. They fumbled, so there's been opportunities for both offenses to try and find the end zone or at least to put 3 points on the board, but the defensive play has been outshining the offense, and the reason it's 0-0 is because of both of these teams' defenses. Love the decision from Joe Conlin to use a timeout here. Lafayette only has 2 as well, so really just trying to make sure his defense is on point.
Defensive clinic here at Fisher Stadium. DeNoble takes the snap, receiving heavy pressure, almost threw it into harm's way, ends up being incomplete on that far sideline to Persing, and that'll set up 4th down. Another defensive stop for this Fordham team, this time at midfield.
Yeah, both T.J. Jones and Andrew Osman had better chances at catching that ball than the intended receiver, Chris. We almost saw another interception. Osman, of course, had the game ender last week against Holy Cross. Another great stop from the Fordham defense. They held Lafayette scoreless in the first quarter. They hold them scoreless on their first drive of the second quarter. Punt unit out for the Leopards.
Yeah, it's going to be Christian Bush out there to take the punt for the Leopards. Of course, Jack Freeberg back to receive the punt. He's standing on the 15, and that's a pretty decent punt. Fair catch called for by Jack Freeberg. That ball is going to bounce, picked up at the 1-yard line. What a play on special teams by Lafayette. Caught the Fordham receiving team napping, and they have the Fordham offense back to their own 1 yard line.
Well, that ball just kept bouncing and kept bouncing, Chris. Fordham players flying all around it, trying to throw off the Leopards coverage unit, but that ball finally took a bit of an aggressive hop at the 4 yard line towards the goal line. The ball wanted to go home, Chris. It wanted to get into that end zone, but Lafayette, excellent work on the coverage. They down it at the half-yard line. The entire Fordham offense is going to be standing in their own end zone.
And a weird play there from Jack Freeberg, the returner. Calls for the fair catch, ball bounces behind him. It just seemed like a weird place to have that play.
Yeah, a bit of an odd spot. I'm sure he was just looking for the touchback, but you know, that's the risk that you run, Chris, when you fake a fair catch and let it touch the turf. Honestly, credit to Bush, the punter, for punting the ball in such a way that it could land and pretty much be dead on the turf. Take so many hops before it finally got to that one. I mean, you kick it the wrong way, it could easily just fire out of the back of the end zone or bounce back in favor of Fordham. Really, this has been, like you said earlier, a defensive clinic, but I would also say it's been a special teams clinic from the side of Lafayette.
Yeah, the second time they have downed Fordham around that spot inside their own 5 yard line. The first time, it led to a Trey Worrell screen pass on that far sideline that led to 50 yards. So Fordham's field position, for the most part, didn't really matter in that drive. I think it's going to matter a whole lot here.
It just might, with Lafayette probably looking for Worrell or looking for a pass here to break them out. This could be the time where you break out a run play on the first play from scrimmage of this drive. Give it to Ricky Parks or Jamel James up the middle. Try to find some kind of a hole and give your offense some breathing room. Really, it is not a safe place to be back there at the half-yard line. It's even less than that, Chris. This ball is nearly on the goal line, maybe an inch or two beyond it. And the way this game has been played by both defenses, I think the Leopards defense is going to be looking to try and put the first points of the game on the board on their own.
You mentioned the emphasis on the run game there for Fordham. Only player with 2 rushing attempts so far, Ricky Parks, Johan Lee Lewis, and Jamel James, both with only 1 attempt, and Ricky Parks with 15 yards. That leads Fordham in rushing so far. So that rushing component, maybe not what it was last week. They need to get it there for victory this week, no?
I think absolutely, Chris, but this Leopards front 7 has been doing a great job at the line of scrimmage. Fordham's offensive line really only got their blocks right on that first play that Ricky Parks got the ball on where he gained 15.
As Tucker said, the full Fordham offense in the end zone on their own 1 yard line. 1st and 10 for Gunnar Smith. In the shotgun, Ricky Parks directly to his left. It's going to be a flag on the line. False start for the Rams with their field position. You cannot have that.
To be honest, Chris, I'm not really sure what the point of a false start penalty is back here. Are they going to put the ball in the end zone?
Doesn't really.
So they move it back to pretty much as far as you possibly can. This ball is almost touching the goal line right now.
I know this is a bit of an ignorant thought, but couldn't they move the first down up? They really wanted to penalize them. Anyway, 1st and 11. Weird spot and downage, but he stopped up the middle, Ricky Parks. We'll see if it was on the 1 or it was a safety. He's called down at the 1. It was very, very close.
Yeah, giving him that forward progress. Actually, were both of the sideline referees, Fordham, very, very fortunate to have barely gotten out of their own end zone there.
Yeah, very fortunate there. 2nd and 11 after that play. Ball still on their 1 yard line. A lot of danger here for the Fordham Rams. Full offense set up in their own end zone. Ricky Parks moving to the right of Gunnar Smith in the shotgun. Hands it to Parks up the middle. Gets a few yards. Taken down around the 4. Stumbles around the 4. And at least the Fordham offense out of the end zone, and danger, at least for now, averted.
So a pair of 1 yard gains for the lead back for Fordham, Ricky Parks, but that's not nearly enough to break out this drive. Nope. Really, they've now forced themselves into an obvious passing situation.
11:54 to go in this first half, just under 12 minutes. 3rd and 8 for the Rams. Gunnar Smith set up in his end zone still. Ball downed at the 3. Back to pass. Throwing it over the middle. Through the hands of his wide receiver. A play that Gunnar Smith, the wide receiver, and the whole Fordham offense is going to want back. Incompletion on 4th down, or incompletion on 3rd down, and that'll send out Will Haslett and the Fordham punting team.
Yeah, just barely through the hands of the senior wideout, Jack Betton. He's usually a great hands catcher for this Fordham team, but that ball had some serious zip on it out of the end zone. For Gunnar Smith trying to get the ball out of there as quickly as humanly possible, and just barely can't hang on to it. Fordham is going to be forced to punt here. Could be interesting. This Lafayette special teams unit is going to be coming after Hazlitt in the back of his own end zone.
Will Hazlitt, dangerous place here. Ball down on the 3, kicking it off. He punts it decently far. Ball lands at the 40-yard line with a fair catch. And once again, Lafayette will have it. That one taken at the 40, and they'll have around 40 yards to the goal line.
Yeah, excellent field position for the Leopards, their best field position of the afternoon. Hazlitt was working against the wind there a little bit on that punt, and he got a good strike on the ball, his usual spiral that we see out of his punts, but this time the wind knocked it down plenty. Fordham nearly got involved on the coverage. One of the gunners shoved a Lafayette player and blocked him into the receiver, nearly broke up the punt reception there, but it was successfully caught, and Lafayette will start a brand new drive. Still scoreless in this game, Chris.
Yeah, still scoreless, 0-0 Lafayette and Fordham, 11:35 to go in this first half. And Tucker, for the most part, for that drive specifically, it seemed like the punt from this Lafayette team, pinning them inside their 1-yard line, really set the tone and the energy for that entire drive.
Yeah, Fordham was just trying so desperately to get out of their own end zone. I think you have to look at the false start as well and realize that just from the outset on that drive, Fordham was not really ready to get out of their own end zone. Maybe, I shouldn't say not ready to get out of their own end zone, but that false start takes a lot of the air out of your offense. When you go out there, you're already on your own half-yard line, and now the ball is moved even closer to the goal line. At that point, I think Fordham and Joe Conlon were happy to just get that ball away without coughing up 2 points.
Ball's down on the Fordham 41-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Leopard offense. Tucker, we've seen a few stops already for this Fordham defense. Every time Lafayette has marched down the field, Fordham has found a way to get a stop. How do they find a way to get another stop here with Lafayette's best field position to date?
Well, if you're the Fordham Rams in this situation, defensively, I think you got to be playing for a turnover here. Somebody looking to make a big play. We already saw a ball from DeNoble that was nearly intercepted by a pair of Fordham D-backs. This time, I think the Fordham Rams are going to need a turnover, especially because in the last 4 games, Lafayette has turned the ball over 8 times. Averaging 2 turnovers a game in the last 4 weeks is not really a recipe for success, and I think Fordham, if they're going to get a stop on this particular drive here with 11:35 to go in the second, they're going to need a big play turnover.
Osman with the game-sealing interception last week that ended the Fordham win on Saturday. They'll try to get another one here. Henley gets it on the toss, moving right, looks to pass, and eventually just pushed out of bounds for a loss of yards. Me and Tucker both with perplexed looks on our faces in the press box where he looked to throw.
Yeah, Jakiri Henry got the toss in the backfield, and it initially did look like some kind of a flea flicker where he was looking to throw. He tucked the ball again and kept running towards the numbers on the near sideline, and then gave it one more look for a pass before running out of bounds.
7 yards lost on that play. 2nd and 17. DeNoble back to pass. Throws it over the middle. It's caught. Past the 35, around the 30-yard line, just before the 30-yard line. Another great play for Ben DeNoble and this offense, and that one to Mason Keener, the sophomore.
Yeah, Carson Jacoby, the tight end for Lafayette, did a great job stopping in the middle of the field and dragging James Conway away from the intended target, opening up that space.
First down on 2nd and 17. Now first down, another first down play. Long pass just out of the reach of Elijah Stewart. TJ Jones the second with blanket-like coverage there in the secondary. And a flag comes out.
Extremely late flag. He threw it as you said it, Chris. I'm really lost as to what this could be. If this is pass interference, this might be the latest DPI I have ever seen. That's unbelievable. That's a DPI call against TJ Jones the second. Sure, there was plenty of contact, but you cannot throw that flag more than 20 seconds after the play occurs.
It's going to be a flag, as Tucker is saying. It will be what Tucker was trying to avoid there. And there was a full pause, Tucker, to your credit, a full pause in between the play. It looked like both players had almost stood up already, and then the flag was thrown.
I'm not going to argue that it wasn't defensive pass interference, Chris. I just think it was a little ridiculous that he waited so long to actually put the laundry on the field, because I was sitting up here thinking that he was letting that go.
That'll move up Lafayette. They're on the Fordham 16 now. 16 to the goal line, firmly in the red zone. 1st and 10. DeNoble in the shotgun. Has Ethan Weber directly behind him. 2 receivers on both sides. Ethan Hozak, tight ends, set up on the left side of the line. That's a fake handoff, given on the right side, in the right flat, and eventually pushed out of bounds. It was Hunter DiTrano, 2 tight ends set out there, and that got them past the 10, and another first down. It'll set up 1st and goal.
Yeah, Fordham D-back Justin Johnson, that time getting involved, the junior, but Lafayette is now set up 1st down and goal here with just under 10.5 minutes to go.
Ball down on the 6-yard line, so it'll be 1st and 6, 1st and goal for Lafayette. Trying to get the first points on the board this afternoon. 10-12 to go in this first half. Still scoreless between Fordham and Lafayette. DeNoble in the shotgun. Weber to his left. Receivers on both sides. Fakes the snap. Throws a fade pass and caught! Caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown Lafayette. What a throw. What a catch. And the Leopards are on the board.
Yeah, they went right back to Justin Johnson. DeNoble threw a perfect ball into the right corner of the end zone and beats Justin Johnson on that side of the field in one-on-one coverage. Lafayette on the scoreboard first.
Justin Johnson, the junior, in for Alex Kemper. Replaced him last week with a Kemper injury. Back in there again, and that was not his brightest moment. Extra point taken now. It'll be Jack Simonetta. Jack Simonetta, the junior, on for the extra point. First extra point attempt of the afternoon. Christian Bush on the hold. The kick is good. 7-0 Lafayette after a fantastic touchdown score. 9:57 to go in this first half. What a drive, what a play from the Leopards.
Yeah, and it was Matt Skirbo on that right side in one-on-one in the right corner. DeNoble finding his man, and Skirbo really did a great job on the catch there. Through plenty of contact after the line of scrimmage. He goes up for a classic, I would say, NFL-level fade, and I think he got 2 feet in bounds too.
Yeah, Skirbo deep on that wide receiver depth chart. From a play like that, I don't think that's where he should be, to be honest.
No, he
looked like Jamar Chase in the back of the end zone.
That play could probably knock him up a few notches in that depth chart, Chris.
Not a ton of wide receiver play so far for Lafayette. Elijah Stewart getting a few yards. Carson Persing getting a few yards as well. But Skirbo definitely one of the major contributors from a receiving perspective.
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
That was his second reception of the day.
Yeah, Skirbo, though, really this season only had 1 reception on the year coming in. So a big catch for him there. Reminding me a little bit of last week for the Fordham Rams with Noden Tracy catching his first touchdown of his career against Holy Cross. Another guy who is very, very deep in the depth chart for Lafayette, gets on the board first, and after a defensive slog for 20 minutes of football, Lafayette strikes first against the Fordham Rams.
And Tucker, after the first score there from the Leopards, how does this Fordham offense respond?
Well, quite simply, they need to score, Chris, but I think they need to score in a very methodical manner. Fordham was on defense to start this game, so they'll be receiving to start the second half. With 9:57 to go in the third, Fordham is within range, or in the second, is within range of really bringing the clock down plenty. If they could put together a 7 or an 8 minute drive here at the end of the first half and end it with points on the board, that's double dip territory and a place where Fordham could swing this entire game on its head. But it's going to be one play at a time this drive, and it's going to be really important that the Fordham Rams, I think they should continue to look to the passing game because it's been working so far, aside from a couple of missed opportunities with drops. Gunnar Smith has been putting the ball exactly where it needs to be in the passing game so far. And even when they go to the running game, it hasn't been great up the middle. But when they can get Ricky Parks to the outside, he has plenty more space to work out there and get upfield. That 15-yard run in the first drive came on a run to the left of the tackle, a bit of an outside zone.
6 for 7, 72 yards. 6 for 7. Last drive ending in a strip from the Lafayette defensive line on a blindside hit on Smith. The blindside hitting has been a struggle for Gunnar all season long. It'll be Graham Smith kicking this off for Lafayette. Their first kickoff after the first score of this afternoon. Be Troy Worrell back to receive it. That one will go in the back of the end zone. It'll be a touchback for the Fordham offense. Fordham offense, first chance to respond to a Lafayette score all afternoon. And a bit of extracurriculars on the field there as well.
Just a little bit, Chris. Nothing too crazy. Couple of players, one from Fordham, one from Lafayette.
Always getting a little handsy.
They're getting involved.
A little handsy.
Getting involved on the kickoff. Why not? Get your swings in during special teams when they're less likely to throw a flag.
Very good point, Tucker Austin. 9:57 to go in this first quarter. 1st and 10. It'll start the drive for Gunnar Smith and the Fordham Rams. Ball on their own 25. Smith in the shotgun. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Jamel James directly to his left in the backfield. He'll drop back to pass. Look on the far sideline. A catch. Catch from the tight end, Jaden Allen. And that'll be a couple yards, setting up 2nd and short.
And Ryan Gadsden just delivered his second huge hit of the afternoon. That time, drilling the intended target right out of bounds and stopping him in his tracks 6 yards beyond the line of scrimmage.
That'll set up 2nd and 4, 6-yard gain on that play. Ball on the 31, the Fordham 31. It's a keeper. Read option from Gunnar Smith. He runs past the 40, taken down. Call it right around the 42. First down for the Rams. Gunnar Smith doing it with his legs.
Yeah, excellent play call from Joe Conlon there to get Gunnar Smith the football on the read option. Smith is so good when it comes to those read options and with his legs, but Fordham can't break it out too often or they'll be able to be read.
Fake snap, look to pass. Fake handoff, look to pass. Far sideline, a catch! Whoa, and it squibbed out of the bottom of his body. He almost had the catch. Looked like he had the catch on that far sideline. And that'll set up 2nd down. Fordham going for it all on that big play. That time, tried to find Jabril Carter. Jabril Carter, 2 receptions for 40 yards last week.
And Carter also limping off the field immediately after that play. Sacrificed the body to try and make the catch. That ball traveled more than 50 yards in the air from the arm of Gunnar Smith. But now 2nd and 10.
What an incredible grab that would have been. 2nd and 10. Ball still on the Fordham 40. 9 minutes even in this first half. Smith takes the snap. Throwing that far sideline. Gonzalez has it. Taken down almost immediately. That'll get around 5 yards, setting up 3rd and 4.
And Ricky Gonzalez is becoming a serious safety blanket for Gunnar Smith in this game. He's gone to him on baby curls just 5 yards beyond the line, but picking up medium yardage that sets up much more manageable 3rd downs.
It's 3rd down, 3rd and 5. Ball on the Fordham 45. Gunnar, some phantom claps, eventually takes it, snaps back. Smith looking to pass over the middle, tries to find Worrell. The ball hits the turf before it can hit his hands, and that'll be another 3 and out for the Fordham offense.
Yeah, Lafayette was sat back in zone on that 3rd down, and Troy Worrell found a little bit of a hole there at midfield, maybe around the 40-yard line on the other side, but Gunnar Smith with really his first mistake throw of the ball game spikes it just a yard short of Worrell trying to get his man while he was falling down.
Preseason All-Patriot League punter Will Hazlitt back out to kick it off for the Rams, and he will. A flag on the play before the kickoff. It was around both lines, and I believe that's going to be on the offense. Going to move Fordham back.
Yeah, it was a false start this time from the Fordham Rams. They'll punt it away again, but with slightly worse position for their punter, Will Hazlitt. The first quarter was sloppy in terms of the penalties for Lafayette, but the second quarter, things have kind of rubbed off on Fordham. Lafayette has played a much cleaner quarter here in the second. Fordham has been the team picking up a handful of penalties.
Before it was Jakiri Henley back to receive it. They actually sub him out for Mason Keener. Keener now back to return it. Will Hazlitt going to try this for the second time. He's back around the 25-yard line to kick this one off. And Mason Keener set up around the 20, waiting to return this one. 8:28 in this first half. Hazlitt kicks it off. Decent kick. Will bounce at the 30 and is bouncing aggressively. Fordham with a chance to have a great spot. Ball stops at the 5. That's where Fordham will pick it up. And finally, Fordham doing a good job on special teams with Lafayette's positioning offensively.
Yeah, that was a booming kick from the leg of Will Hazlitt. He was standing back near Fordham's 30-yard line, and that ball landed near the 25 of Lafayette. Took a couple of nice hops for the Fordham Rams and eventually came to a rest at the 6-yard line where it's going to be spotted. But Lafayette, with 8 minutes 16 left in the half, they have plenty of time to march this one down the field if they can. Fordham, probably a worst-case scenario on offense on that last possession, taking not much time off the clock whatsoever, and still down by 7, giving Lafayette a chance to score before the end of the first half.
You talked about all the advantages time management-wise that brought, and they didn't take advantage of any of it. It's a run play there on first down. Breaking a few tackles is Ethan Weber, eventually taken down around the 15-yard line. That'll be a 10-yard gain for Weber.
Really nice opening play of the drive. The first play in the run game that Lafayette was able to break off for more than 5 or 6 yards, and they get a first down on the first play of this drive.
One play first down on the run for Lafayette, now setting up in first down once again. Ball on their own 17. Deep in Leopard territory, 7:43 and counting on this first half clock. DeNoble in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his right. Sends one in motion, fakes the handoff. DeNoble takes it by himself, taken down right past the 20. Call it a 4-yard gain down at the 21, and that'll set up 2nd and 6.
That's a veteran move by DeNoble in the backfield. That snap came very low near his shoes, and he managed to scoop it off the ground, looked for the play that was actually called, and then immediately made the decision to tuck it and run and get a little bit of a gain.
DeNoble in the shotgun once again for 2nd and 6. After the 4-yard pickup, ball on the 21. Still 79 yards to go. 7 minutes left. Definitely plenty of time. Lafayette going left to right. DeNoble claps for the snap. Fake handoff. Throwing the near sideline. It's caught. Making the catch is Mason Keener. Almost bobbled it on the tackle, but held on. That'll be another completion for Lafayette. They're moving fast.
And an excellent tackle in the open field by Justin Johnson, the man playing in place of the injured Alex Kemper.
Almost got the ball loose.
Yeah, we mentioned that he got burned on Lafayette's touchdown on that fade, but he's still been making some very, very solid plays in place of a Fordham captain on the defensive side. He's been doing a nice job this afternoon despite the touchdown.
Yeah, 2025 preseason Patriot League all-league team Alex Kemper. That's big shoes to fill for Justin Johnson. DeNoble faking the handoff, looking on the far sideline, rolls out to the near sideline, running, finally getting there right around the 30-yard line, just before the 30-yard line. That'll be around 3 yards in the pickup, 3 yards on the pickup, and a first down on 3rd and 1.
Really, really nice play there to actually get loose and get the first down on the scramble. Good effort on defense by Sam Burkle and Jack Lowe, both of them chasing DeNoble out of bounds, but Lafayette moves the chains once again.
Yeah, another first down, as you alluded to, 20 on the 28-yard line. Lafayette still in their own territory, 5:56 and counting. This clock is moving fast. 5 minutes left in this first half. DeNoble back to pass after the fake handoff. Finds Stewart on the far sideline. Makes the grab as he had Terrence Jones draped around him. And that one is good past the 40. And that's a major chunk play for Lafayette.
Boy, have a day, Elijah Stewart. He has been putting on a show in the passing game for this Lafayette team. Another huge gain across midfield, and now tempo for the Leopards.
Yeah, tempo, as he said, for the Leopards. Fake handoff, throwing deep on the near sideline. Another Randy Moss-like catch. It's Skirbo on Johnson. This Lafayette offense has fireworks all over the field.
20-plus yards on the left, 20-plus yards on the right. They've got tempo again, and Lafayette, they could score too quick here and leave too much time on the clock for Fordham.
As he said, DeNoble moving fast in the shotgun. Once again, ball on the 8, the Fordham 8. 8 yards to the end zone, running it right up the middle. Ethan Weber only getting a yard or two on that one, and that'll set up 2nd and goal. 2 plays, Tucker, get them all the way up the field.
Yeah, but this Fordham defense did a good job to not become too focused on the pass after 2 huge plays in the passing game. They don't get tunnel vision on the receivers. They keep their focus in the middle and in the front 7. They stop that running play that could have easily broken through the line of scrimmage. This Fordham defense really they've been good against the run in this one.
DeNoble, 2 receivers stacked far on the right, 1 receiver to his left. 2nd and goal, 8 yards to the goal line. A handoff right up the middle. Fordham defense trying to hold on. They do. Stop him right on the 2-yard line. It'll be 2 yards to the goal line for Lafayette on 3rd down.
And it's an interesting decision coming up for John Troxel. Tempo, though, they are ready to go.
Yeah, tempo once again. No huddle. Faking the handoff. Throwing the near sideline. Pursing. Getting in the end zone right past Justin Johnson. Another touchdown for the Leopards.
That time, Matthew Skirbo, who had caught the touchdown, was doing the blocking. A wide receiver screen. They took it right out of Fordham's playbook on that right side, and Pursing had plenty of space to get by the blocked Johnson at the right pylon and scores the 2nd touchdown of the afternoon for the Leopards.
It's once again going to be another PAT attempt for Lafayette, and they're up 2 touchdowns. This game very close, Tucker, throughout the first half, and seemingly getting less close as this second quarter goes on.
I think it's just a matter of Lafayette's offense continuing to execute in the passing game. Fordham's defense, which did a good job stopping them for the entirety of the first quarter and the start of the second quarter, have just kind of lost steam as time has gone on here. And rather than getting an answer from the Fordham offense, it's just been Lafayette score and then Lafayette score again. The Fordham possession in between these 2 Lafayette touchdowns was really an inconsequential possession.
And Tucker, I just need to interrupt you to talk about Matthew Skirbo Jr., the freshman wide receiver for Lafayette. You mentioned it before. 1 reception coming into this game. He now has 2 of their biggest offensive plays, not of the day, but of the season. And like you said, a lead block there on the touchdown. Between the catch he had earlier in the drive and the block there on the touchdown, his teammates were amped up for him on the sideline.
Yeah, this is a breakout performance for Skirbo, and he'll likely continue to be a big part of the Lafayette offense as this game continues, and will probably be a major part of their offense and their scoring going forward for the rest of the season.
Once again, Lafayette to kick it off. Troy Worrell in the back in the end zone to receive. Lafayette a fresh 2-touchdown lead, 3:52 to go in this first half. 14-0 Leopards. It's happened so fast for this Rams team. Worrell's back to receive that one. It'll be out of bounds, a flag on Lafayette. We had 2 of those in the Colgate game, and we have another one here today.
And Fordham's offense really needs to get something going on this drive.
That helps.
That will help them. But so far in this game, field position hasn't really mattered for the Fordham Rams because the execution and finishing drives has just not quite been there today for Fordham. They're going to be receiving the football to start the second half, so now down 2 scores. They need to put a score on the board in a bad way under 4 minutes to go in the half so that they can get the ball back and then try to score again to get themselves fully back into this game. But that second touchdown for Lafayette really puts so much pressure on this Rams offense now.
Graham Smith kicking that one out of bounds on the kickoff, moves the Fordham offense up to the 35. That's where they'll start the drive. 1st and 10 on the Fordham 35. Smith in the shotgun, gives it up the middle to Ricky Parks, makes a juke, gets past the line and out to the 45-yard line. 10-yard pickup there for Ricky Parks. Longest run play for Fordham so far.
Yeah, Parks does such a good job of keeping his legs moving after contact.
Does.
You could have a defender shed off of him, and he'll get an extra 8 yards after that, just like a cannonball through the line of scrimmage. Fordham with an injured Ram who just came off.
Yeah, an offensive lineman couldn't quite see the number, but Fordham offensive lineman collapsing on the sideline. It's Kevin Laughlin. Kevin Laughlin, the senior, has had some injury trouble throughout this season. Seems like he's got a lot of injury trouble there. 2nd and 1 after the 9-yard completion. 40 on the 44 of Fordham. Still 6 yards to get past the 50. Smith back to pass. tried to find Freeberg in the flat, almost jumped by a quarterback of Lafayette, avoiding disaster there, and the Fordham offense moves to 3rd and 1.
3rd and 1 situation, Fordham still has plenty of options, but there goes Jack Freeberg now limping off the field. Fordham, it's just injury after injury for this Rams team.
Yeah, Jack Freeberg limping off the field. Now back-to-back plays for this Fordham offense where they lose a player. That's 2 starters as well. Lachlan and Freeberg, both starters for this Fordham unit.
Gotta hope the halftime break they can get some kind of a treatment and come back out. Fordham is running out of starters.
Fordham has to put that behind them. 3rd and 1 on the Fordham 44. Ran it right up the middle and right past that first down line marker, and that'll be a first down continuing the Fordham offensive drive.
And that's a nice job by the right side of the offensive line. Marco DeCroce, who came in to replace Kevin Lachlan, was the head of that push that got Ricky Parks the first down.
Gunner, shotgun once again. Ricky Parks directly to his left. Have a tight end back there in the fullback position. Fake handoff. Player came from his blind side. He avoided him, but not the D tackle right in front of him. Another sack for the Leopards. That time, big play on first down with 2:49 and counting on the clock. What a sack from this unit.
A really important sack for this Leopards defense as well. It gets Fordham behind the line of scrimmage, approaching the 2-minute timeout.
That'll move the Fordham offense back 2nd and 14 on their own 42-yard line. 2.5 minutes and counting. Fordham has to work semi-quick here. Smith snaps back, looks in the right flat, ends up going up the middle, finds his tight end Jaden Allen, stepping over a few defenders past that, I believe, right past that 45-yard marker, not past the 50, call it the 49.
And that was a great job in the secondary on the defense that time. I believe it was Christian Watson who read Allen's cut right after he caught the football, made contact with him. He didn't bring him down, but slowed him down enough that he couldn't break it off for an extra 5 or 6.
A timeout here on the field. We'll take a little break along with the teams. 14-0 Lafayette leads. It's the 2-minute warning, not a timeout, so an official timeout. So we'll officially take a break as well. 14-0 Lafayette leads. We'll be right back with Fordham Football on WFUV Sports.
What's up, everyone? I'm Brendan Shorey.
And I'm Joe Henry, your 2025 New York Jets beat reporters.
Follow along with us every Sunday as we cover and analyze all things JETS.
With a new quarterback at the helm, can Aaron Glenn right the ship and cause chaos in the AFC East?
Stay updated every week with game updates and recaps from @Brendan_Shorey
and @JoeHenry_4 on X.
WFUV, your home for Jets football.
Go.
2-minute warning on the first half here in Easton, Pennsylvania, more specifically Fisher Stadium on the campus of Lafayette College. Lafayette up 14-0 on the traveling Fordham Rams, and with 2 minutes left in this first half, Fordham still ground to make up offensively.
Ground to make up indeed, Chris. Lafayette has been doing a great job in both dimensions of their offense to really just outplay the Fordham Rams straight up. In the running game, Lafayette has 41 yards now on the day to Fordham's 32. Meanwhile, the passing game has been night and day, Fordham and Lafayette. Fordham with just 87 yards in the passing game between 4 receivers. Lafayette has had 201 yards off of more than 8 receivers.
Wow.
It's near double digits in terms of players who've been catching the football today for Lafayette. They've had a balanced offense for most of this year, but you remove Kente Edwards, who leads the Patriot League in touchdowns this year, does their usual RB1, who's not playing today. Take him out of the equation, and the passing game goes straight to the top.
Lafayette offense working by committee this afternoon. Eight different receivers with receptions. My goodness. Gunnar Smith back to pass after the fake handoff. Those are right up the middle. Ricky Gonzalez on the catch. First down past the 40, right before the 35. His 6th reception of the afternoon, Tucker. That is 2 receptions higher than his career high.
Yeah, and it's a really nice play to open it up after the 2-minute timeout. Fordham is going to try and use this to build momentum and go for the score.
Career high was 4. He has 6 receptions this afternoon. It's going to be a timeout called by Lafayette. They need to talk it over on the defensive end. Gunnar Smith and the Fordham offense now past the 50. And some promise now for this Fordham offense. You should be thinking positively right around 15 to 20 yards from the end zone.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. An 18-yard reception and a connection between Gunnar Smith and
Ricky
Gonzalez. It doesn't surprise me at all that Lafayette would want to stop it and really take a second to recollect themselves on defense. They have a 14-point lead. They don't need to do anything too cute in this scenario. As long as they just hold Fordham, they can take a 14 or maybe an 11-point lead into the half.
1:43 to go in this first half. Fordham on the Lafayette 36, past the 50, 1st and 10 after the timeout. Smith in the shotgun, 2 receivers on both sides. Jamel James directly to his right, fakes the handoff to James, throws to Freeberg on the near sideline. Got past a defender on the screen and past the 30, and that'll set up 2nd down on the 6-yard gain.
Really good to see Jack Freeberg back out there
Yes.
after we watched him limp off the field before the 2-minute timeout. Now back out there and getting another look.
2nd and 5. Half the distance to the first down there. Ball on the 31-yard line. 10 yards away from the red zone. 1:38 to go in this first half. Smith and the Rams looking to respond to the Leopards. Touchdowns on their last 2 possessions, and Fordham still scoreless with 1.5 minutes left in this first half. Smith snaps it on the clap, fakes the handoff, decides to run it himself, and is taken down almost immediately. Call it 2 yards on the gain, and that sets up 3rd and short. Or actually, a yard lost on the gain. It'll be 3rd and 7.
Yeah, Ian Langan was the first man there. He read the read option all day long. This is the problem that you run into when you have a quarterback that likes to use his legs. If the defense starts to read him, it completely shuts it down, and it's more often a loss than a gain.
3rd and 7. Big play for Fordham. Ball in the Leopard 33. Back to pass. Throwing over the middle. Caught. Noden Tracy held on to it, and that'll cut the 4th down even shorter. We'll see what the Fordham Rams are going to do here on 4th and 3 at the Leopard 29. 50 seconds and counting on this first half clock, Tucker.
And Tracy took a shot.
Massive shot.
On that one, but
Can't
still
believe he caught it.
Yeah, he managed to hang on to the football. Credit to him, the man who caught his first career touchdown last week against Holy Cross, doing a great job to hold on to it here, but it does set up a 4th down and short.
Gunnar Smith, hands on his hips, waiting for the call from his coach. Now him and the rest of his offense slowly walking toward the sideline. We'll see if they go for it here. You have to seem aggressive in this spot. Down 2 touchdowns right before the half. Haven't had much going on offensively. You kind of have to make a big risk here.
Yeah, and a pair of timeouts left. If you're Joe Conlon, you at least burn the 1 as he just did to go down to 1 remaining with 36 seconds to go in the half. At least just talk about it, maybe implement a play, think about just kicking the field goal here. Bennett Henderson has been excellent for the Fordham Rams in terms of the field goal kicking and the extra points, although he did miss both an extra point and a field goal last week against Holy Cross. He still has been very, very solid for this Fordham team, and it looks like the offense is going to come back out on the field here.
Gunnar Smith and the offense running out there. It's Ricky Gonzalez and Freeberg on the far side. 2 receivers on the other side as well. Jamel James directly to his left. Gunnar in the shotgun. Smith drops back. Looks far sideline, now looks over the middle. He's taken down in the backfield. Oh, wait, he stands up. A flag thrown. He was almost on one knee completely. Got up, continued moving past the 25, but a flag thrown. We'll see who it's on.
At least 2, maybe 3 Lafayette defenders had their hands on Gunnar Smith, and he was so close to going to the ground. He did manage to get loose.
No foul on the play.
But yeah, no flag. Really interesting. So a phantom flag for no foul. Gunnar Smith turns. Gunnar Smith just turned a turnover on downs into a first down conversion on fourth.
First down.
Very interesting.
The chains are moving. 28 seconds left in this first half. Ball on the Lafayette 25. 1st and 10 after the Gunnar Smith heroics on 4th down. Smith looking near sideline. Finds Gonzalez on the comeback route. He stops at the 15 or falls at the 15, and the ball's still moving. 10-yard return, first down, 1st and goal for the Rams, or 1st and 10 for the Rams.
Ball still moving, clock still moving.
Smith, back to pass. Looks for Ricky Gonzalez, almost picked off at the second level by Beckham D. We've seen that freshman already have a big play this afternoon. He almost had a second one there. That sets up 2nd down.
Chris, I am not a fan of the decision-making down the stretch there at the end of the half. There was a timeout in the pocket for the Fordham Rams, but they decide to just run a play after the quick reception for Gonzalez. And now they're forced to go for the field goal.
3 seconds on the clock. The ball was down, or a timeout was called with 3 seconds left. Bennett Henderson jogging out there. He'll take it. Will Haslett on the hold. 3 seconds left. 14-point deficit. Henderson with the kick. And it's good. No good. Close on the kick, right at the pile, right at the stick. And it goes just wide. That kind of afternoon for the Fordham Rams, Tucker.
Really interesting, Chris.
I swore I saw it go through the uprights.
I don't know if we have a bad angle, but that ball looked really good. Another missed field goal for Bennett Henderson.
A downtrodden way to end the half for the Fordham Rams. They have to stay optimistic going into that second half. In this first half, when they were good, they were really good, but when they were bad, it really hindered them in that first half.
Yeah, just too many drives offensively ending in 3-and-outs or in some kind of a turnover. Fordham only had the one forced turnover, no turnovers on downs, but they did punt plenty in that first half. And the defense held their own for as long as they possibly could, but then in that second quarter, when they finally started to get a little bit gassed, Lafayette stayed on the attack in the passing game, took apart the Fordham secondary. One of those touchdowns was set up by back-to-back 25-plus yard passing plays. And both of them were passing touchdowns on well-designed plays, a fade and a wide receiver screen. So Lafayette has been doing a great job in terms of design and execution in the passing game. Fordham has struggled to get anything going offensively. And really, that run game, which was back for the first time this season last week, has gone MIA again this week, Chris.
The Leopard offense seems to be the difference so far after one half of football. Lafayette up 14-0 on the Fordham Rams after that first half. We're going to send it back to the Rose Hill Studios for a halftime report from Mary Hannah Gallagher and Gabby Price. Take it away, girls.
The one-on-one halftime report.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rose Hill Studios in Keating Basement. My name is Mary Hannah Gallagher. The Fordham Rams are currently down 0-14 as we enter the second half of gameplay in Easton, Pennsylvania against the Lafayette Leopards. But before we get into this half highlights, we have a scoreboard update from Gabby Price.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Let's start with some Patriot League football. The Dukes are ahead 20-0 against the Skyhawks. The Spiders are ahead 21-14 against the Bison. Lehigh has kept Yale scoreless so far. The score there is 0-14. Against Penn, Dartmouth has taken the lead. They are winning 14-9. Quick update about Bill Belichick's Tar Heels. They are losing 35-3. Meanwhile, Georgia still leads Kentucky 21-7. In other sports news, it's officially playoff baseball. The Midwest matchup between the Cubs and the Brewers starts up at 2:08 p.m. The Yankees take on the Blue Jays in Toronto at 4:08 p.m. The Dodgers are visiting the Phillies. That game is at 6:38 p.m. And at 8:38 p.m., the Tigers take on the Mariners in Seattle. It'll be a full afternoon of baseball, but first, more Fordham football. With your one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Gabby Price.
Thank you, Gabby. Well, let's start with the highlights from this first half. So in the first quarter of the game, the teams mostly traded some scoreless possessions until Lafayette got a turnover right at the end of the first quarter as the Rams fumbled the ball.
3rd and 14, snaps back to pass. Smith, blindside hit. Ball is loose. Picked up by Lafayette. What a play by the Lafayette defense. It's Beckham D, the freshman from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he made quite possibly the biggest play for the Leopards this afternoon.
Then, going into second quarter play, Lafayette took the lead with 10 minutes left in the first half with one man in the end zone.
DeNoble in the shotgun. Weber to his left. Receivers on both sides. Fakes the snap, throws a fade pass, and caught! Caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Lafayette. What a throw, what a catch, and the Leopards are on the board.
Finally, in this first half, the Leopards ended the quarter with finishing a 3-play drive down the field, getting another touchdown.
Faking the handoff, throwing the near sideline. Persing, getting in the end zone right past Justin Johnson. Another touchdown for the Leopards.
Gabby, going into this game, I know that maybe we weren't hopeful about what the Rams were going to be getting up to in this first quarter, but I don't know about you, but I thought that coming off of that win last weekend against Holy Cross, that maybe Fordham would be ready to act more on their offense, and it seems like they're not. What are your kind of thoughts on the lack of action that's happening when it comes to offense and these Rams today?
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw a pretty good game, obviously getting the win last weekend. You were hoping that, again, you would take some of that momentum into today's game. And it just, nothing has been going the right way for the Rams today.
No,
I mean,
today.
Ending the second half on a missed field goal is absolutely brutal. Yeah, it just, like, for me, you know, it not like 3 points necessarily, but those are points that are in your control, right? Like, we know that, like, the Rams don't have a great passing game. It's okay. It's not great, obviously. Yeah. So, you know, seeing something like a field goal being missed, not ideal.
Not what you want to see from this team, especially coming off of last weekend's win. I kind of thought that maybe we'd be entering this game here today with a little bit more energy and grit. Looking for another win. Another thing that kind of irked me, I guess, about this Fordham offense was before the game, in the pregame interview, if you were tuned in, you could hear Chris Carrino in an interview with the head coach, where they talked about how Lafayette is a huge turnover threat and how they were really watching out for those. And then right in the first quarter, there was a turnover. That's the kind of things that I know they were working on in practice this week, and yet it's still somehow affecting the game. Another thing about maybe trying to take more control of situations like that.
Right. I mean, to be fair, there was obviously that big one in quarter one, pretty much right off the bat, but they haven't really been like that type of sloppy since. So it's not like they've had 3 of those plays, like, you know, maybe sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
They've had the one, obviously not great.
Just not what you want to see when you know that they're mindful of plays like that happening. I will say that this game, Fordham has been taking a lot of the plays that they've watched Lafayette doing and learning from them, which is maybe something that they've lacked in other past games. And you love to see that. However, that missed field goal really, it does hurt. And just the fact that they're struggling to start anything up offensively. What are your thoughts about how Fordham can kind of utilize some of the mistakes that Lafayette is making defensively to try to get into that end zone?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Fordham, you kind of have to control your own side of, you know, your own side of the team. So, again, I kind of mentioned this before. I think I kind of have a problem a little bit just in general when teams try to rush the ball too much.
Right.
I don't think you're also down 14 at this point. You're down 2 touchdowns. It's not the right play. I know Gunnar Smith likes to run the ball, but it's not extremely realistic for getting yourself back into this game.
Right.
And so kind of, whether it's taking advantage of some of the mistakes that Lafayette has made or kind of getting it together on your side of the field. And I think that last possession was a little bit better. They were passing the ball a little bit more.
Yeah. They had time.
I think
to get
it
down.
needs to be more of that. And the other thing, I think Fordham, again, that last play, I think they were like playing too quickly. Like I think Tucker said it on the call, take the timeout, make the game yours.
Right.
Like slow down. Lafayette was doing a great job with that, just the other way around. They were playing very quickly.
Right.
Ultimately leading to that touchdown.
Right.
And so I think for Fordham, don't give in to that.
Yeah.
Slow it down, control the ball.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time, maybe Fordham thinks, oh, our opponent is going really fast and they're making these plays really fast because they're kind of banking on the mistakes that we make. And I think that Fordham the offense at least tries to compensate for those mistakes by making mistakes of their own by playing this game too fast. Slow and steady wins the race, right? So maybe they got to take a minute. They got to take it first down by first down.
Let's get a fourth down.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Fourth downs, although scary, not bad. It's not bad. Just maybe slowing down gameplay, I think, could really be key to trying to turn this game around. Gabby, do you have a lot of hope right now about Fordham turning this game around?
I mean, I would be very interested to see what what's the pep talk in the locker room right now, right? Like, you're down 14, like we've said. It's not out of reach at all. I think Fordham can make plays to get themselves on the scoreboard at least. I think I do. I do have hope that Fordham can get back in this game. I think the other thing, though, is that Lafayette has cleaned up their sloppy mistakes and, what they were doing in quarter one in the beginning of the game. Yeah. They have reduced their penalties and all of that. So they're going to come out feeling, pretty confident about this.
Yeah,
so for
I'm
Fordham,
sure. And
Fordham, you have to, it's stopping on defense too. We're talking about the offense, but defense also got to pick up some of the slack here.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of moving into a defensive end, kind of harping on maybe what Fordham defense is doing right. You love to see just the number of sacks that it seems that tackles that it seems that Fordham is making in comparison to the Leopards right now. However, the Leopards are leading in sacks, and maybe that could be kind of hindering the offensive play that's happening. James Conway leading with 7 tackles for the Rams right now, but the Leopards, Ryan Gadsden, kind of keeping right up with the other 7 tackles. But Boogie Owens also with a number of 6 tackles for the Rams. What do you think about how the defense can try to come back and get on the offense more when it comes to this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Fordham, you mentioned James Conway, obviously kind of holding it down there. We've talked about it nonstop here in our studio, his presence on the field being extremely effective, and even watching him during the game, he's keeping his team in this. So I think his leadership will be very important, especially right now.
For sure.
Kind of getting back into, cleaning things up defensively. But it needs to be more than just him. He can't do it all. He does a lot. He can't do it all, though.
No.
So finding ways to make the entire line effective.
Right.
That's what Fordham kind of needs to think about again.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also just sort of disheartening to see Fordham with a total of 158 yards, whereas Lafayette has 242 total yards. That's something that I think these games coming down to it seems to be kind of a defensive issue almost. We love to see James Conway out there, and I think that we can't talk about his effect on the field enough when we're thinking about this Fordham defense. However, I do think that maybe this game could be one where the rest of the defense kind of acts more to try to reduce those total yards. Total passing yards, again, at 202 for the Leopards, whereas Fordham is only at 123. These are things that really just need to average out when it comes to offense and defensive effort. However, we can't. This is a both sides of the field problem this entire game.
Right. I mean, until middle of the second quarter too, teams are tied at 0. This was a game of defense for most of the first half.
Right.
So I think, it obviously broke down a little bit on Fordham's side, but Lafayette was also throwing the ball really well.
Yeah.
Like we said, the pace of the game, they kind of made it their own. They reduced their own errors.
Right. They had that 3-play drive into that touchdown zone, almost leaving too much time for Fordham that they almost squandered, ending that first half. Gabby, if you are the head coach of this team, what are you pulling them back, and what are you trying to say to this team right now to try to get them up?
Loaded question. I'm going to start. I never want to be the head coach of any team ever. So, hypothetical situation here, obviously.
Very hypothetical.
But I think, I think I kind of mentioned it or alluded to it already. You're still in this game. I don't think this is out of reach for the Rams at all. I think control what you can control. Don't fumble the ball.
Yeah.
Gunnar Smith, hold the ball.
Hold the ball. Keep your hands on that ball. Yeah, and I would even say just really harping on they've done things like this before. They've come back from being down before, whether it be last year or even in just keeping up a lead when it came to last weekend's game against Holy Cross, is that I think we can all agree that we know that these players are capable of taking it. They need to really put it into fruition as we enter the second half of gameplay. I have been Mary Hannah Gallagher, joined with me by Gabby Price. We're going to turn it back over to Chris Carrino and Tucker Austin at Easton, Pennsylvania, Fisher Stadium after just a few promos.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Carrino.
And I'm Joe Henry.
Tune in weekly for NFL Friday, your exclusive WFUV sports podcast for all things National Football League.
We'll be covering everything on and off the gridiron for the biggest sports league in the world every week on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcast.
Can the Eagles repeat?
Will the Jets or Giants finally take a leap?
What's Shadur up to?
All of that and more on NFL Friday on WFUV Sports.
Want to be part of the Ramley? It all starts here. I'm Nathan Rogers.
And I'm Kate Cox, and we are two of your hosts for On the Hill, WFUV's exclusive podcast for all things Fordham athletics.
From the field of Moglia Stadium to the hardwood of the historic Rose Hill Gym, we've got you covered with the ins and outs of Fordham sports.
Every week, every play, every round. Tune in weekly wherever you get your podcasts. This is On the Hill.
back here in Easton, Pennsylvania, ready for second half action between Lafayette and Fordham. The Leopards all over that first half, a semi-competitive, scoreless first half, but then eventually in the second quarter, the Lafayette Leopards on back-to-back possessions get in the end zone, and now a different, more difficult challenge for the Fordham Rams in the second half. Chris Carrino, joined by my partner, Tucker Austin. Thank you to Mary and Gabby at halftime, and now we're back for the second half. Tucker, Fordham gets the ball back here, down 2 scores. How important is this first drive?
Chris, this first drive could very well be the game. I hate to say it, but the way that the first half went and the way that Fordham was really just incapable of executing on the offensive side of the ball, they need to come out of the half and really put a statement out on the field and on the scoreboard to get them back into this game and to win them a little bit of momentum. Really just couldn't get anything going offensively. Outside of the pass game worked just a little bit, Chris. I mean, guys like Ricky Gonzalez II getting their career highs in receptions, I believe. Yeah, it's now up to 7 catches for Gonzalez on the day. When you look at this Fordham stat line, or like the box score right now, Chris, it's very, very odd because Ricky Gonzalez II has 7 catches for 58 yards, and every other receiver who's touched the ball in this game for Fordham has only had 1 catch. So it's been somebody else or Ricky Gonzalez pretty much this whole game. I think Gunnar Smith needs to start looking to his other receivers a little bit more often because the option in Ricky Gonzalez is probably going to go away in this second half.
And we talked, Tucker, about the value of the run game last week and it being good for this Fordham team. It hasn't been so far. Ricky Parks with a decent day, 6 carries, 28 yards. No one else behind him has more than a touch aside from Gunnar Smith with their legs. That running game needs to be more of a proponent for this Fordham offense in the second half.
Yeah, Johan Lee Lewis got the ball once and gained 5 yards. Ricky Parks has been doing a fairly decent job, but by the nature of averages, he has gained slightly less on average than Lewis did on that 1 carry. Meanwhile, Jamel James, in his first game back from injury for the Fordham Rams, has only gotten 1 touch for -1 yards, and they haven't really wanted to go back to him since. I'd like to see Fordham start using James and Parks in tandem to try and put the pressure on the run game. Really, there's a couple of things that need to change for this Fordham team in the second half.
Graham Smith kicking it off for Lafayette. He's set up at the 30-yard line. Trey Worrell back at his own goal line to recover this one. Worrell picks it up at the 1. He'll take it out. Stopped before the 15-yard line, taken down at the 13. More great special teams work from the Leopards.
Yeah, Leopards have been doing a great job all day, and they opened the half with another excellent play on special teams. That time, I believe that wasn't the kicker. Well, that wasn't the backup kicker, was it, Chris?
No, it was their kickoff kicker, Graham Smith, the freshman.
No, I know, but the guy who made the play on the tackle, I believe it was the backup kicker on special teams.
Yeah, it was.
Candler Happy, kind of a lucky play there. He got blocked into the tackle.
Blocked into the tackle. Bit of misfortune from Trey Worrell. Anyway, it'll be a backed up start for this Fordham offense. Once again, backed up on their 14. 1st and 10. Gunnar Smith in the shotgun. And that one is handed off up the middle past the 15. Eventually leaks out around the 16. It'll be a 2-yard gain, setting up 2nd and 8.
Trying to establish the run game early on in the second half with Ricky Parks there up the middle.
Gunnar Smith in the shotgun. 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Gives the handoff to Ricky Parks. Once again, the D-line of the Leopards all over it in the backfield. That's going to be a tackle for loss, setting up 3rd and long.
Yeah, right side of the offensive line did not get to their assignments in time. Defenders 2 yards into the backfield before the handoff even occurred.
And already setting up 3rd down, 3rd and 9. Ball in the 15. 14-15 left to go in this 3rd quarter. Smith claps for the snap, fakes the handoff, looks to throw, looks far sideline, finds Noden Tracy on the catch. I think he's about a yard short of the 1st down. Good pass play there from the Fordham Rams, but couldn't get what they were trying to achieve.
Yeah, a yard, maybe less than a yard to go for the 1st down. Decision time early in this second half for Joe Conlon.
Joe Conlon is upset with the spot.
Yeah, he's pointing right at the 1st down marker, trying to plead his case that it should be closer.
And it's going to be a yard short. Offense still out there. We'll see if they go for it. They're looking at direction from their sideline. Gunnar Smith, hands on his hips, and they're going to go for it. Fordham offense running out there in the tush-push formation. 4th down, 4th and 1. Did they get it? It's going to be close. Ball on their own 23. Massive play for the Rams. We'll see. Some Fordham Rams pointing for the first down. We'll see who got it. They did. The official popping out of the scrum and giving the Fordham Rams the first down. The biggest offensive play of the Rams game so far.
Yeah, line judge Christian Keel ran out from the near sideline and was immediately signaling for the first.
Rams didn't think it, but their drive continues. 1st and 10 on their own 24. Fake handoff once again. Play action. Looking on the near sideline. Caught at past the 40, right in front of the 35. Jack Freeberg, the sophomore. Major chunk play for Fordham as they continue to go up the field with efficiency, Tucker.
Fordham just switched the field on Lafayette. What an incredible play for starting from the 24-yard line, now all the way down to the 36. Big play that time for Freeberg.
And they're moving quick. Official spots the ball, and they're at it immediately. Smith in the shotgun, fakes the handoff. Wide receiver screen on the near sideline. Gonzalez blown up at the line of scrimmage. There'll be no gain on that one. It'll set up 2nd down.
Another touch that time for Ricky Gonzalez, but just going back to the Freeberg catch on the play before that, Gunnar Smith did a great job with a little bit of a pump fake. He looked the entire Lafayette secondary down closer to the line of scrimmage while Freeberg ran a go right through the back.
Johan Lee Lewis subbing in at running back. He's directly to the left of Gunnar Smith. He gets the handoff, runs up the middle, gets around a yard or two past that 35-yard line, and that'll set up 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9.
Like to see him working Lewis into the run game again, but without any chunk yardage in the first 2 downs, it brings up a 3rd and long here. Not a great situation for Fordham's offense today.
After the big Jack Freeberg catch, a bit of stagnation from this offense. 3rd and 8. Ball on the Lafayette 38 or 34. Smith takes the snap, tries to roll out, and is blown up. It's Jalen Joseph, the junior. The junior DN started every game of this season so far, and he has a major play there on 3rd down.
Yeah, just nothing that Gunnar Smith could really do. He was looking for an option downfield, maybe had an open receiver on the left side, but once again, Gunnar Smith gets burned on the blind side. When he can't see who's coming, he usually takes a sack.
It's going to be back to receive this punt will be Mason Keener, sophomore, 5'11", 187, has been receiving the punts all afternoon so far. He's back at the 10-yard line. He'll let that one bounce behind him. Almost a chance for another close downing. The ball bounced very slowly around the 5-yard line, but goes into the end zone. It'll be a touchback close there for Lafayette.
A little bit of theatrics as well from Will Haslett. There was a pile of bodies below him after the punt, and he just kind of rolled over it and fell flat on his back on the turf looking for a little bit of a running into the kicker. But, yeah, really tough situation there with the ball bouncing favorably for the Fordham Rams, but they can't quite get to it, so ball will be placed on the 20-yard line for Lafayette's first drive of the second half.
Easton, Pennsylvania is our setting for this afternoon matchup. Beautiful day, mid-70s, close to the 80s. Beautiful sunny day here at Fisher Stadium, at Fisher Field as well. It's where you see the field and the stadium named after each other. Stadium relatively recent here, putting in a whole lot of extra seats, here at Lafayette. Tend to take their football seriously around here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Fisher Field has been the home of the Lafayette Leopards football program since 1926. The school is celebrating its bicentennial starting next year. 200 years this school has been around, established in 1826. But Fisher Field was the original name of the complex in 1926. Then a $33 million renovation comes in 2007 to bring it up to a 13,132 seat capacity. And that was when it was changed to Fisher Field at Fisher Stadium.
Fordham Rams wearing their white uniforms with maroon numbers and maroon pants and maroon helmet. That's their normal away look. In Lafayette in a similar fashion. In their home look, straight maroon pants, maroon jerseys, and white helmets. Helmets with an L decal on them and a bicentennial sticker on the back of the helmet. Going toward what Tucker said, 200 years of educating around here. That's hard to wrap your head around, genuinely. The Fordham Rams offense going right to left, and Lafayette now taking over offensively. They'll go left to right. 10:48 to go in this third quarter. Still 14-0 Leopards, trying to add a third touchdown score here.
This could be a backbreaker if this drive ends in points for Lafayette. Fordham's defense really needs to show up to keep their team in the game right now.
And it's going to be Dean DeNoble, controlling this Lafayette offense, the two-time team captain. 1st and 10, ball on their own 20. Running back directly behind him. Fakes the handoff to him, throws to Stewart in the near flat. He'll gain a few yards past the 20, taken down at the 22. It'll be a 2-yard gain, setting up 2nd and 8.
Boy, Elijah Stewart has been having an excellent game for these Leopards. A lot of athleticism from this kid. It doesn't matter where he catches the football. If it's 10 yards down the field or 5 yards behind, he's going to find positive yardage.
7 receptions for 81 yards last week, has led this team in receiving the last 3 seasons. A vocal point in recent memory for this Lafayette offense. DeNoble rolls out left, throws it on the far sideline. Who else? Elijah Stewart, another catch past the 35, taken down at the 37, and that'll be a major gain and a first down for this Lafayette offense.
More efficiency from Lafayette, and now really taking their time between plays, as is their right. They don't need to rush anything right now, firing on all cylinders offensively and being really methodical against this Fordham defense.
Saw both offenses rush a ton in that first half. A little bit of a slower play here from the less desperate Lafayette offense. DeNoble fakes the toss right, then throws it right. Ethan Weber has it, has a block past the 40, taken down right before the 45. Fantastic tackle from behind. And that'll be another chunk play, setting up 2nd and short for the Leopard offense.
Yeah, Jack Lowe making the tackle for the Fordham Rams, but an excellent job by DeNoble. The fake pitch that initially made the secondary for Fordham drop back and then opened more space for Weber to receive that pass and then get 10 or 15 in the middle of the field.
DeNoble in the shotgun. Weber directly to his right, gives the handoff to him, up the middle. John Scott, a few other tight ends having trouble with him, eventually taken down right before the 45, call it the 46.
Another first down for Lafayette here. It doesn't matter if they go to the pass or the run. They are executing in the perfect manner right now.
DeNoble, 1st and 10, ball on the Fordham 48, just past the 50-yard line. An official whistle here.
And it's Alex Kemper's replacement who had taken a knee, and it looks like he's going to probably come off the field here with an injury. Fordham now going to be 3 deep on the right side at cornerback.
Yeah, Justin Johnson, the junior, started last week for the injured Kemper, the team captain, and is back again in similar action today. He's had, honestly, not great luck on the defensive end. Has had a few major plays from Skirbo on him, whether it was the touchdown or the big play prior to that. But to your point, Tucker, you made it in that first half. Aside from the big plays, Johnson done a really good job for the big shoes he's had to fill.
Oh, for sure. Johnson has 5 tackles on the day, 4 solo and 1 assist. And he's been doing a great job because Lafayette has been going at him. They know that he doesn't usually play and that Alex Kemper is the starter that he's in playing for. So the Leopards have made it a point of emphasis to go after him. It worked once in the end zone, but more often than not, it has not worked. Johnson has been putting together a very good defensive performance, as is a majority of this Fordham defense. But as time has gone on in this game at the end of the second quarter and now here to start the second half, it just seems like the energy that the defense came out to start with in this game has slowly dissipated and been ground away by this Lafayette offense.
Fordham offense last time out converted on a 4th down deep in their own territory, eventually had to punt on that drive. The Fordham offense still scoreless, a goose egg on the scoreboard for the Fordham Rams. Fordham Rams have converted on 4th down more than any team in the Patriot League this season. They're 6 for 10 on 4th down, so a positive for this Fordham offense. But where are the true positives going to come down the stretch of this game, Tucker, for this offense?
I mean, when you look at the box score right now, Chris, it definitely seems like Fordham is getting a lot more done in the passing game than in the rushing game, and I seriously doubt
that the Leopards' defensive front, their front seven, is going to get any less aggressive against the run in this game. So Gunnar Smith is 16 for 21 in this one with 171 yards, no interception. He's been sacked 3 times and lost that fumble. But if the offensive line can give Gunnar Smith some time back there, and if Fordham can move the ball through the air, Gunnar Smith has been making good decisions today, but his offensive line has kind of been crumbling around him. So if the offensive line can hold up a little bit, and if he can find his receivers, he's found Freeberg and Tracy for a second time today here in the second half now, but he's also gone back to Ricky Gonzalez II a couple of times so far as well, his safety blanket in this game.
And in order for that offense to do that sort of work, they need a defensive stop here.
Absolutely. Without a stop here, this game gets a little bit out of reach. It gets into the realm of a blowout. 21 points being sort of the difference, I would say the line between a game that's still within range and a blowout.
14-0 still. Lafayette trying to compound on their lead, 8:38 in this third quarter. 1st and 10 at the 48, dropping back to pass. DeNoble on the near sideline finds Skirbo. That'll be a first down for this Lafayette offense, and that'll move them even further, now firmly into Fordham territory.
And it's now Alonzo Riddick playing cornerback on that right side for Fordham, and he just lost his man there. Wide open was Skirbo near the sideline.
On the Fordham 34, 1st and 10, DeNoble in the shotgun. Fakes the handoff, looks far sideline, has a receiver. Stewart beat his man, couldn't quite get in the reach of the football, and even with TJ Jones behind him, could not come down with the reception. It'll be 2nd down, another chance, another opportunity for Lafayette that they couldn't capitalize on.
And it's not often that a receiver beats TJ Jones the second down the field, but that time he did and had about 3 yards of separation from the Fordham D-back, but a little bit of an overthrow from DeNoble. He's overthrown the ball a couple of times today, but more often than not, he's been on target, and Lafayette taking a shot there on first down does not surprise me.
22 for 27 on the day, 239 yards in the air for DeNoble. DeNoble takes the snap, long toss on the left side to Henley. Henley getting a few yards past the 30, and eventually will be taken down, setting up 3rd and short.
Yeah, giving Ethan Weber a bit of a rest there was Lafayette. Looks like Henley will stay out there.
Carson Persing coming in substitution for Devin Page, the junior from Baltimore, Maryland. Skirbo also coming on in the wide receiver position. And it's going to be 3rd and 5. Big play for the Lafayette offense. Trying to add a 3rd score to this lead they have over the traveling Fordham Rams. 3rd and 5 on the Fordham 29. DeNoble scrambles out right, rolls out right, looks for a pass, tries to find Persing, and it's in the hands of a Fordham Ram. More specifically, Boogie Owens got it off the deflection, a turnover caused by the Fordham defense, and they just might have given their team some hope.
That is exactly what Joe Conlon was looking for out of this Fordham defense. You get a massive stop inside, nearly in the red zone in your own territory, and it's Boogie Owens this time. That ball traveled about 10 yards after the tip, and just staying locked in on the football was Boogie Owens. He comes down with it, returns it to about the 26-yard line. Fordham's offense absolutely must capitalize on that turnover.
And Tucker, if you saw on the replay, Skirbo falls on his route, so only one option on that side of the field. DeNoble was rolling out right, so didn't really have many options. Anyway, Fordham gets the ball back. Major play for the Fordham defense. 1st and 10 for Gunnar Smith and the Rams on their own 26. Smith back to pass on 1st down. Gives it to James in the flat, or Lewis in the flat. And he is swallowed. Behind the line of scrimmage, once again, Lafayette sniffing out the, I would say, creative passing plays in the backfield from the Rams.
Lafayette showing the value of watching film throughout this game against Fordham.
2nd and 14. 4-yard loss on the last play. Ball on the Fordham 22. Fake handoff, pass, comeback route, caught from Noden Tracy at the 30. That'll be an 8-yard gain, setting up a more manageable 3rd down for the Rams. It'll be 3rd and 6. Ball on the Fordham 30. Another big conversion chance for the Rams. Gunnar Smith, 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right in the shotgun. Running back directly to his left in the backfield. Rams down 2 scores off the interception from their defense, looking to capitalize. Smith, snap back, looking to pass, finds Lee Lewis in the slot. It's a halfback screen, and the Lafayette defense is there. The screens prove ineffective, and that's going to be 4th down once again for the Rams.
Back-to-back plays trying to get the ball to Lewis, and back-to-back plays are blown up in the backfield for the Fordham Rams. Another seriously ineffective offensive drive by the Rams. It really seems like Fordham can't get anything going against this Lafayette defense, and on the other side, Lafayette seems to know everything that Fordham lines up to play.
Another punt here, Will Hazlitt. He's been very busy so far this afternoon. He's going to kick this one from the 12-yard line. It's blocked! Blocked in the back. And it's caught, picked up, brought in the end zone. Touchdown, Leopards. An improbable touchdown. Lafayette turns the ball over on offense, gets a stop on defense, blocks the punt, and picks it up and scores. What a range of events for this Lafayette Leopard team.
And Chris, I can't even lie to you, I saw this block coming from a mile away. Fordham lined up for this punt in probably one of the weirdest punt formations I've ever seen. They had 1 guard to the left of the long snapper and had probably 5 or 6 offensive linemen to the right of the center. And so there was a free rusher coming from the left against the 3 Fordham Rams stacked up in front of Will Hazlitt. 1 defender got through the right side where there were 6 offensive linemen and managed to hit one of the defenders or one of the blockers for Hazlitt. He got his hand to it. And then the man who returned it for the touchdown for Lafayette was Dylan Aguilera.
Dylan Aguilera working on special teams and maybe just had the biggest play for his team all afternoon long. He's getting a lot of love on that sideline after the good PAT. The PAT is good, 21-0 Lafayette. What a turn of events, Tucker. After the interception, Fordham gets the stop. They have the ball down 14. They're marching up the field. They're in good position, and seemingly that's all turned completely on its head.
I can't tell you how disheartening that is, Chris, because you get the turnover on the defensive side. It's the first turnover of the game for the Fordham Rams. They get a little bit of momentum back. They're moving the ball just a little bit, but then obviously the offense kind of stutters again. But Will Hazlitt, he's done such a good job this year of getting Fordham out of really poor situations on their own end of the field. When you run your punter out as often as the Fordham Rams have done today, he's bound to get blocked eventually, because every time the special teams unit for Lafayette doesn't block the punt, they get just that much more hungry to get their hand on the football. It happens here, and Fordham is unable to get anyone near the football after the block, and it is a free 15-yard jog to the end zone for the man who recovered the football.
Dylan Aguilera, the man who recovered the football, the senior, had a crowd around him on the sideline. He was ringing the turnover bell on the sideline, the bell they have devoted to turnovers for this Lafayette defense. They ring it when they get one, and that was a massive one, Tucker.
Chris, if the Fordham Rams don't score on this possession, it is not a good outlook for the rest of this football game. You're now down by 21. You're in blowout territory. They haven't scored yet in the game. So at this point, Fordham needs to rely on what works, and what's been working today is the passing game. I expect to see 3 straight passes on the first 3 plays of this drive from the Fordham Rams, and expect chunk plays as well. I'm expecting at least 10 to 15 yards down the field, maybe 20. Gunnar Smith has had an accurate arm this afternoon, but it's just not been utilized to the best possible ability. At least I don't think it has, because Fordham keeps trying to go back to the run game, but Lafayette has shown time and time and again that they are not going to let anything develop on the ground for the Rams today.
Lafayette, 21-0 lead, 5:17 to go in this third quarter. Lafayette going to get ready to kick it back off to the Rams. A similar level of demoralizing, Tucker, to the turnover, the pick six to start the second half against Boston College week 1 this season. It felt that Fordham was at least semi-competitive in that game in the first half, and then a turnover at the top of the second half. This one came a little later, but a turnover in the third quarter seemingly changing all the mojo.
And, I mean, you remember the 4 straight stops against Boston College that first week. Fordham also had a streak of 10 straight stops on defense dating back to the Holy Cross game in the second half. Going into this game against Lafayette, held that streak through the first quarter, and then it only ended when Lafayette finally got on the board in the second quarter. It's a touchback on the kickoff.
Yeah.
Fordham is going to take the ball from the 25, and it's now or never for Gunnar Smith in this offense.
Yeah, Troy Worrell takes a fair catch in the end zone, so a touchback. The ball will be down at the 25. 1st and 10 for the Fordham Rams on their own 25. Gunnar Smith in the shotgun. Allen moving to the left side of the line. Fake handoff to Jamel James. Gunnar Smith takes it himself and is trampled behind the line of scrimmage. Only losing about a yard or two, but it seemed as if that was doomed from the start.
Doomed from the start indeed, Chris, and that's, again, what happens when you have a quarterback who likes to run the football. When you fake that handoff, if he's not looking down the field, every single defender is staring at Gunnar Smith.
Davis Oliver Goodwin on the stop there. Didn't start or play last week. Started every week before that. Was out for injury last week. Dante Jackson came in for him. Gunnar Smith back to pass. Throws it over the middle. Noden Tracy couldn't quite get to it. A little out of his grasp behind him, and that leads to another incompletion and another third down for the Fordham offense. 3rd and 10 on their own 25.
Another pass, obvious third down. I'd be really surprised if they handed it off to Jamel James, who comes in the game now at running back.
Be really perplexing to run the ball here. 3rd and 10 on their own 25. Fake handoff. Smith back to pass and play action. Gonzalez loses it on a comeback route. Had it in his hands. It squeaks out, and another incompletion for Gunnar Smith and the Fordham Rams, and another punting opportunity for Gunnar Smith and the Fordham Rams.
Excellent play made by Kevin Dodard in coverage. Ricky Gonzalez has been so good with his hands in this game and has been targeted so much, and that would have been a first down had Dodard not gotten there. He's got 25 tackles on the year and 4 pass deflections for this Lafayette team.
Dylan Aguilera scooped and scored the last punt attempt for the Fordham Rams. Will Hazlitt is out there once again. See if he can get this one off clean. Hazlitt set up right in front of the 10-yard line to kick this one off. He gets it off. It'll be eventually bouncing at the 35-yard line, picked up by a Lafayette player, and a major hit at the end of the play on the sideline. Some Lafayette teammates not too happy about it on the sideline, and the return man for this Lafayette team, Mason Keener, crushed.
Yeah, it was a really good hit. He was still in bounds, although his knees were sliding on the turf when the extra hit came through, so I can understand a little bit of the argument there from the Lafayette sideline. Chris, this punt was inches from being blocked again. There was another Lafayette defender in the backfield getting very vertical against that punt. Got a hand way up in the air, but the punt did get away. However, Lafayette now gets the ball with better than usual field position, a 21-point lead, and 4 minutes to work with here in the third quarter.
Yeah, it's going to be Mason Keener coming out after that play. He's getting checked on by the trainer down there, trainer holding his helmet.
I believe, Chris, they're going to take a look at this. No, they're going to take a look at this play, I believe, for targeting.
Yeah, might get an extra penalty on this play. They have
not only that, but the man who delivered the hit may be ejected.
Mason Keener still getting checked on with a huddle around him on the field of his teammates. Fordham in a similar huddle on the other side on the field, their defense. And it's going to be a break in the action here, so we'll take a break in our broadcast. It's 21-0, 3-score lead for the Leopards over the traveling Fordham Rams, 4:21 in this third quarter. We'll take a little break. You're listening to Fordham Football on WFUV Sports.
Hey sports fans, it's Bobby C. I'm the sports director here at WFUV. From live broadcasts of Fordham athletics to coverage of all the professional sports teams in the NYC, we've got everything a sports fan could ask for. Like talking sports? Check out One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show, as well as our diverse collection of podcasts. If you're a Fordham student interested in joining our program, feel free to shoot me an email, bobbyc@wfuv.org. And as always, thank you to all of our listeners who support us every week. 90.7 FM is the home of WFUV Sports.
Back after the break, 21-0. Lafayette still leads 3 scores over the Fordham Rams, 4:21 in this third quarter. We're going to get an official announcement right here. A big...
There's no foul for target.
No extra foul. A big hit on Mason Keener on the last play on the near sideline. The refs went to take an extra look at it to see if it was possibly targeting, and it was not. So now 1st and 10, ball on their own 38-yard line. The Leopards working offensively.
1st and 10 Leopards from their own 38.
DeNoble in the shotgun. Running back right behind him, gives it to the running back right behind him, Ethan Weber, taken down in the backfield by a few D linemen for this Fordham team led by Colby Spencer, and that'll be 2nd down. 2-yard loss on the play.
What a job there by Sam Burkle, breaking through the offensive line and making that tackle from his knees. Wow, knee crawling across to get to Weber and bring him down.
Great description from you there as well. DeNoble setting up, has Weber directly to his right, puts Elijah Stewart in motion to the left, by himself on that left side, 2 receivers on the other side. DeNoble claps for the snap, fakes the handoff, go and play action. Stewart makes the catch past the 40, taken down at the 44. Another catch for Elijah Stewart, the preseason All-PL team player.
Yeah, Stewart making a case in this game alone for why he should be on that All-PL team by the end of the season.
4 receptions for 77 yards for Elijah Stewart. A heck of a day for him so far.
Make it 5 for 85 after the last one.
5 for 85, my mistake. Tucker Austin on it. DeNoble, Dean DeNoble, once again bringing a guy in motion. This time it's Carson Persing. Drops back in the shotgun. Throws to Persing on that far sideline, out of his reach, out of bounds. And that'll be an incompletion. 4th and 4. Punting team coming out for Lafayette. A 3 and out, and a stop for the Fordham Rams.
Good coverage on that last play by the usual defensive end, John Scott III, getting out wide against a man in coverage and doing a good job to force that incompletion.
Fordham offense getting the ball back.
4 from the Leopard 44.
Really have to wonder what Fordham's offense can put together after just so many straight drives now of inefficiency.
Freeberg back to receive that one, going to let it bounce. It'll bounce north of the 15-yard line, ending at the 17-yard line. And not good, but not terrible, decent. Not terrible field position for the Fordham Rams. Gunnar Smith and his offense, not a ton of success this afternoon. They've had some big plays and had some good drives, but still a goose egg on the scoreboard. Almost 3 quarters into action here in Pennsylvania. Still nothing on the scoreboard for Fordham.
Fordham had an opportunity to put some points on the board, and I honestly thought that field goal at the end of the half went through, Chris, and we weren't the only ones who thought it went through either, but no dice from Bennett Henderson.
2 receivers on both sides. Smith in the shotgun, hands it off to Ricky Parks. Ricky Parks is loose. Tackled by 2 defenders before the 30, eventually taken down at the 30, and a big run play there from Ricky Parks.
And an example of what can happen when the offensive line picks up their assignments in unison. Ricky Parks untouched through the line of scrimmage and firing up to the first down.
Gunnar Smith in the shotgun, 2 receivers to his right, 2 receivers to his left. Smith takes the snap, fakes the handoff, looks over the middle, finds Worrell. Past the L logo at center field, past the 45, right before the 40. Big run play, big pass play from the Fordham Rams.
A 1-2 punch in the run and the passing game. Fordham got to try and keep this momentum and keep the Leopards on the back foot.
Smith in the shotgun once again. Hurry up, no huddle. Gives it on the handoff to Ricky Parks right up the middle. He'll get a couple of yards. He's eventually spit out behind the pile. It'll be a couple yards, setting up second and 7 on second down.
Kind of a funny interaction there. Darian Riley involved on the play for Lafayette. Ricky Parks had been picked up in the air. His legs were still moving, but he was not on the ground.
Smith dropping back. Still in the pocket. Now receiving pressure, now throwing. Left sideline, Ricky Parks, not a ton there, only a yard or two on the gain. And once again, it's going to be third down, call it 3rd and 6.
Certainly an emergency throw by Gunnar Smith that time. Had nowhere to go downfield and looked for Ricky Parks, who had exited the backfield right before Gunnar Smith was converged upon by some defenders. And there is a D lineman down now for Lafayette.
Yeah, D lineman down, or an offensive lineman, or a defensive lineman down on the field. First real offensive injury we've had for Lafayette so far. They're going to take a little break on the field. We'll stay right here. The Fordham Rams marching right now after a big run play from Ricky Parks and a big pass play from Troy Worrell. They're now past the 50 and cooking with more momentum, Tucker, than maybe they've had all afternoon long.
Absolutely. Ricky Parks has broken off a couple of those longer runs in this game, but a majority of his 10 carries in this game have been bottled up at the line of scrimmage. Defensive front for Lafayette has done a good job of collapsing the offensive lineman for Fordham, collapsing the hole that Ricky Parks is looking for. But Troy Worrell, his second catch of the afternoon, now for 76 yards. Of course, he had the 50-yard catch to get Fordham out of their own territory in the first half. Now getting them out of their own territory in the second half here.
And Darian Riley was the defensive lineman injured for the Leopards. Has started every game of this season so far. The junior from Humboldt, Texas, limping off after that play. And he won't be in the game now. A replacement brought in for him, Joey Shimko, the Stewart, Florida freshman native, going in there and getting some action. Gunnar Smith on third down, 3rd and 7. Ball on the Lafayette 40 yards to the goal line. Jamel James up the middle. A run play on 3rd and 7. I think he's just a yard short. The run play took Lafayette defense by surprise, and I think it'll be another 4th and short for the Fordham Rams. Jamel James still down after the play.
And that is probably the worst thing that you could possibly see if you are Joe Conlon and the Fordham Rams. Jamel James is slapping the turf aggressively right now as he's being looked at by the training staff for the Fordham Rams. You can kind of just tell that Jamel James either thinks that he re-injured his original injury or seriously injured himself in some other way, but James not happy at all with what just transpired.
Jamel James back this week after missing the last 2. He started weeks 2 and 3 after taking the job from Ricky Parks after week 1. And as you said, it's been trials and tribulations throughout this season for Jamel James. He pops up off the turf. He's now limping off the field, and he seems to be in a bad way, putting no pressure on that left leg.
There's limping and then there's hopping, Chris.
Hobbling.
That's a one-legged hop off the field from Jamel James.
A limp that would indicate 2 legs are being
some
used.
kind of pressure on the other leg, but he puts a little bit of pressure on it now that he's reached the medical tent, but oh man, he was so nervous to get up off the turf.
Fordham offense has to refocus. 4th and 2. Ball on the Lafayette 35. 57 seconds and counting. Fake handoff, rolling out right. Smith throws it. Caught by Worrell. Past the 25. It's a first down for the Fordham Rams. Another first down on 4th down for the Rams. A lot of pressure there, and they capitalize.
Troy Worrell sprinkles a few extra yards on top of what is already a career-high day in receiving yards for the Fordham receiver.
Lee Lewis in the backfield at halfback with Smith. Fake handoff to Lewis. Back to pass, and caught. Noted Tracy over the middle. Fantastic throw from Gunnar Smith. And another first down. They're down at the 10. And it looks like another Fordham Ram is down. Or actually, I think this is a Leopard. We'll see who that is. He's hiding his number from us. He's really shaking up on the turf. Lafayette trainer runs out for him. And it's going to be another injury timeout in this game. A ton of injuries, Tucker, this afternoon.
Yeah, a lot of injuries just in this game. And it's really been odd to see. It's certainly not affected at all by the weather in this one. It's been an absolutely gorgeous day here in Easton at the convergence of the Lehigh and Delaware rivers. But a lot of injuries on both sides. Fordham, of course, had their backup for Alex Kemper go down, so they're now 3 deep at the cornerback position.
You ever been to the Delaware River, Tucker?
In the Delaware? No, I have not.
Or just there?
I've seen it a couple times, driven over it plenty.
Where'd you see it from?
From Bridges and from the Jersey side.
We made the trip from where today, Tucker?
We were over in Allentown staying in the hotel.
Of Billy Joel fame.
Yeah, just 20 minutes west of Easton. Made the drive out last night from the Boogie Down Bronx.
Fordham with a real red zone chance here. Down 3 scores, 1st and 10, 17 seconds left to go in this third quarter. Smith in the shotgun, ball on the 12. Smith. Handoff, Ricky Parks right up the middle, big hole taken down at the 2-yard line. Ricky Parks, real efficient running on this drive, and he's got Fordham right on the precipice of the goal line.
Yeah, Parks has finally found multiple chunk run plays in this drive, and that brings us to the end of the third quarter, Chris, but Fordham knocking on the door, looking for their first score. They're going to get the ball on the 3 of Lafayette to start the fourth quarter.
Fordham knocking on the door of the end zone offensively. We have 15 minutes left of football here in Easton, Pennsylvania. 21-0 Lafayette leads. You're listening to Fordham Football on WFUV Sports.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
It is time for some more college football updates. At home in the Patriot League, Duquesne is dominating Stonehill 34-7. Richmond is holding on to a 28-27 lead against Bucknell, and Lehigh is up 31-13 against Yale. Future Fordham opponent Dartmouth is tied at 17 against Penn. Looking around the country, Clemson is handling UNC with ease. Score of that one is 35-3. Georgia is up 35-7 against Kentucky, and Wisconsin is at Michigan. A tight game, score is 7-17 for Michigan. But let's finish at the Diamond. Cubs and Brewers. Score is 6-1 for the Brewers. All of those runs scored in the first inning. Now, bottom of the second. With your one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Gabby Price.
And always remember that Eastern Coast is the motor carrier of choice.
Fordham Rams on the doorstep of the end zone for the first time this afternoon. 21-0 Lafayette lead going into the fourth quarter. And Fordham Rams 3 yards away from the end zone. They had a 4th down conversion to get them where they are now. We talked earlier, with their 6th 4th down conversion of the season, they led the Patriot League. Now they lead the Patriot League even further. 7 conversions on 4th down this season in 11 attempts. 4th down been a weapon for Joe Conlon and his team when they need it the most.
It's been a weapon for Fordham, but it's certainly not a stat that you'd always be proud of, Chris.
Right.
It sort of tells me that Fordham has a really hard time gaining the first down in the first 3 downs, which cannot really, it doesn't usually play out well for the offensive team, but Fordham, of course, has been converting on 4th, using all 4 downs that they are afforded to their advantage.
And the first conversion of the afternoon was deep in their own territory.
Yeah, so Fordham takes a lot of risks on that 4th down, especially if it's close. In a situation like that, if you were stopped, Lafayette would have had the ball within Fordham's 30. Fordham was already trailing by a lot, though, and they've done a lot of trailing this season. That's where I think a lot of that stat comes from. But Fordham here, down 21, has a chance to cut the lead to 14 with a touchdown and an extra point here.
The field flips after the quarter change, so Fordham moving left to right on the 3. Leopards 3-yard line. Fordham's biggest chance offensively so far this afternoon. Fordham in their white uniforms going left to right. Smith in the shotgun. Got Ricky Parks directly to his left. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Noden Tracy by himself on the right. Smith claps for the snap. Gives the handoff. Ricky Parks gets, I think, maybe a yard, and that'll set up 2nd and goal for the Fordham Rams.
Chris, he could have lost some yards on that play.
Yeah.
Another excellent play by the defensive front for Lafayette, disrupting Fordham's offensive line.
It's 3rd down. There's a first down on the 2-yard line. Fordham only needs a yard for the first down. Parks receiving contact in the backfield, eventually taken down by the third and fourth defender to get on him, and that'll be fourth down right near the first down marker. They have to go for it.
It was the freshman Beckham D making another big play for this Lafayette squad, bringing down Ricky Parks in the backfield. 4th down and 2 here from the 5.
4th and 2 on the yard lost on the last play. Ball on the 4-yard line. Fordham 4 yards to the end zone. Smith in the shotgun. Claps for the snap. Looks back end zone. Worrell. It's caught. Toe dragging touchdown for Troy Worrell. What a throw. What a catch. And the Fordham Rams back within 2 possessions.
Chris, the celebration is short-lived for these Fordham Rams. Troy Worrell just took his helmet off immediately after rolling out of the back left corner of the end zone. Fordham scores the touchdown, but there's an injury timeout on the field.
At what cost, Tucker? At what cost?
At what cost, indeed. Fordham, an injury-riddled squad this season, are the Rams, and Joe Conlon making a very familiar walk over to another injured player.
Yeah, you mentioned Conlon making the walk. Ricky Gonzalez noted Tracy, fellow wide receiver, standing over him as well. This wide receiver room, a lot of camaraderie. Guys really care about each other, and it seems like Troy Worrell receiving major serious attention in the back of the end zone, and his teammates there to support him.
I feel like they're also there because he managed to roll himself out of bounds before taking his helmet off, so they can have a couple of more guys. He's up on his feet now, which is a great sign, but
he might have really banged either his shin or his knee. He toe dragged, so he did fall. So there definitely was a lot of contact to be had with the ground.
Yeah, it was face first, right down onto the turf.
That don't feel
to get
good.
Both of his feet down. No, it does not. Maybe a turf beat or two in the eyes, but he's certainly putting pressure on both feet equally here. Doesn't seem to be too banged up, at least in terms of the lower body. He's high-fiving some of his teammates now, so you hope to see him back in this game. But Fordham, I think they're going to have to go for 2 here.
Yeah, he's
down by as much as they are.
Seems just a little bit shaken up. Seems like he'll be all right. On a positive note, Tucker, the Fordham Rams got in the end zone and on the scoreboard. And not only did they do that, they did it in a pretty way as well, getting up the field. 4th down conversion, that was really clutch, a really big run play from Ricky Parks. Troy Worrell had a big catch midfield, and then Troy Worrell capping it off with a touchdown. That, for the most part, when you look at how the Fordham offense has operated this season, that is the blueprint for their success.
Yeah, and it's career highs in receptions, yards, and a 3rd career touchdown for Troy Worrell. It was an excellent route, too, ran in the end zone by the Fordham wideout. Gunnar Smith threw that ball up kind of before he was open, but Worrell ran such a tricky route in the middle of the end zone that by the time he released, his defender was lost. I mean, the D-back was 2 or 3 yards away from Worrell, and it was not looking at the football. So excellent job on the route, even better job on the catch and the toe drag. You just hope he's okay now as Henderson's out for the extra point.
Henderson trying to add the 7th point of the Fordham afternoon total. And he does. 21-7. Leopards lead. Fordham gets on the scoreboard. It was 21 unanswered points for the Fordham Rams. And finally, they respond and respond in a big way.
And you gotta look at the defense for the Fordham Rams today. They have done an excellent job to hold Lafayette to just 21.
100%.
They are keeping Fordham as close to in this game as they possibly can. You add the turnover, a bunch of stops, and sure, Lafayette has moved the ball. They've gained a lot of yards in this one, chewed a lot of time off the clock, but the fact that they've only made it into the end zone 3 times in this game, it should be more against most other defenses. But Fordham's defense, again, is continuing that development from the Holy Cross game last week into this week.
This game's not over, Tucker.
No, it's not quite over yet. 13 minutes and 57 seconds to go in this 4th quarter. Fordham needing a couple of stops and a couple of scores, but it's well within reach.
That'll be kicked off by Bennett Henderson to start the drive. Be taken from around the end zone and eventually stopped right before the 20-yard line on the return. And Fordham off to a good start defensively.
Brought down by Fordham's number 44.
It'll be Dean DeNoble coming back out for the Lafayette offense. Lafayette, I don't think have had any sort of desperate vibe about them in, I would say, 2 quarters.
Absolutely not, Chris. They didn't even look that desperate or frantic when this score was still tied at 0 back in the second quarter. They've been so methodical, so focused. DeNoble has been so composed for a majority of this game, making some excellent decisions, an overthrow here or there, but never a ball placed in a very dangerous spot. Even the interception he threw was in no way his fault.
Fordham need to stop. Dean DeNoble starting the drive, a fake toss to the left, and he is destroyed in the backfield. A guy on his legs, a guy on his torso, multiple Fordham men taking him down. And that's going to be a loss of yards on first down to start the drive. Fordham in really good position.
Andrew Osman on the tackle for the Fordham Rams, firing through the line of scrimmage. As soon as he saw DeNoble fake that, he fired up into the offensive line and made the tackle.
And Tucker, they had Jason Penza, the backup quarterback, out there. They like to use him with his legs. DeNoble, guys on both sides of him in the backfield. Fakes the handoff. Beautiful fake handoff. Throwing just over the head of his receiver on that far sideline. It was Mason Keener, and that'll set up third down. Good play here from the Fordham Rams. Good coverage there all around.
Tell you what, Chris, it doesn't help that Dean DeNoble wears 16 and Jason Penza wears 15.
It does
kind of
not.
hard to distinguish from a distance.
It does not. And Penza not known for his arm, known as arguably the best athlete on this Lafayette team, is said to be faster than almost every guy on the roster, and they bring him in for special occasions. Third down, 3rd and 13, major play for the Leopard offense. Ball in their own 17. DeNoble gets the snap. A screen wide receiver play on the outside, and that's a stop. Major stop on 3rd down, and once again, the Fordham offense is going to get it right back.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think I may have... No, it was not Justin. Justin Johnson's still out of this game. But it was Boogie Owens that time bringing him down to bring up 4th down. Another good stop from the Fordham Rams defensively.
Boogie Owens building quite a resume this afternoon. Christian Bush out there for Lafayette once again. Hasn't been out there too much. Has been good when they've needed him to be.
Number 9, Jack Freeberg.
It'll be Jack Freeberg back to receive it. He's on his own 40-yard line. He's going to gather that ball off the bounce, stiff-arming a defender past the 45, call it the 47. Freeberg turning what could have been disaster into a semi-big play.
Yeah, and Jack Freeberg doesn't get a lot of opportunities to return punts for this Fordham team. Sure, he's out there every time, but it's not very often that he actually gets the space to get loose.
And how about that stiff arm?
Yeah, he had one man to beat at the 40-yard line, extends that right arm, and puts him right in the turf, and gets an extra 6 yards out of it. So nice return by Freeberg there. 12 minutes 14 to go in the ball game. Fordham down by 14, but after a successful drive last time, Fordham looking to keep the offensive momentum rolling.
21-7. Lafayette still holding on to that 2-touchdown lead. Ball on the 46, 12-14 to go in this matchup. Tucker, from either perspective, who do you think has time on their side? Obviously, Lafayette has the lead, but with a lot of time left, it seems like Fordham's playing with that clock.
Yeah, Fordham can't really afford a methodical drive anymore in this game. When you get to the 4th quarter, and if you have a deficit, especially if it's a multi-score deficit, if you have the football, you want to score as early and often as possible. So Fordham, I think, will look to try and make a couple of big strikes down the field, look to get it into the red zone as fast as possible. Maybe then they might slow it down a little bit to try and get the Lafayette defense overthinking things a little bit. But if you're Joe Conlon and the Fordham Rams, I think the play calls have to be large chunk plays, much like how they managed to get the offense rolling on the last drive with a couple of big pass plays. Looking for guys like Freeberg, like Troy Worrell, who has had a career day.
Are we going to
see him?
Are we going to see him going forward after the injury?
Maybe, maybe not. It remains to be seen.
We haven't seen much of Noden Tracy today. He's been
I don't remember if he came out of the tent or not, did Worrell, but obviously Fordham would love to have him back with the kind of day he is having.
And the offense going out there. Gunnar Smith trotting out, along with the rest of his offense in their white uniforms, maroon pants going left to right. And Lafayette in their full maroon going right to left.
Chris, the way Gonzalez has been playing today, it's almost baffling he doesn't have a touchdown catch yet in this one.
Yeah, 8 receptions, 58 yards. An average of 7 yards a reception. Smith has it on first down, hands it off up the middle. Lee Lewis couldn't find a hole, and he'll take a loss there. That'll move them back to around the 44-yard line, setting up 2nd and 12.
More of the same in the run game from Fordham, just trying to use misdirection. And when Gunnar Smith doesn't keep the football, Lafayette is always all over it.
It's going to be after the loss of yards, 2nd and 11, ball on their own 45. Fake handoff. Smith looking over the middle, finds Jack Freeberg. First down. Stopped right before the 40-yard line, and now they're past the 50, and the Rams are moving. One of those chunk plays that you were talking about, Tucker.
Yeah, 20-yard gain, about 20 yards that time from Freeberg. A hole in the zone and an excellent throw by Gunnar Smith.
Ball evenly on the 40. Smith has it in the shotgun. Fake handoff, looking near sideline, finds Tracy on the comeback route. It's caught. Caught and taken down at the 25. Another first down for the Rams and another chunk play.
15-yard curl route that time from Noden Tracy. Completely lost his defensive back who kept sinking looking for the go route.
Ball now on the Lafayette 24. 1st and 10. 11 minutes and counting in this fourth quarter. Still a 21-7 Leopard lead. Smith claps for the snap in the shotgun. Looks to pass and is crushed. Found some company in the backfield. It was Darson Genty and Jalen Joseph, the defenders for Lafayette, and they get the sack. A major loss of yards and a very negative play for this Fordham offense.
Yeah, Paul Weiderman getting involved as well, the linebacker for Lafayette. Really, as soon as Gunnar Smith dropped back to pass, all of the pressure came through the offensive line, and he did not have any time to throw that
Now
ball.
Fordham moving quickly. 2nd and long, 2nd and 20. It's another fake handoff. Looking over the middle. Has his receiver. Jack Freeberg, another catch over the middle, taken down at the 10. After a major loss on first down, they get a first down on 2nd and 20, Tucker.
Davis Oliver Goodwin delivered the initial hit on Freeberg, but he makes the catch, takes the contact, gets a couple of extra yards, and it's tempo for the Rams.
Rams offense look like Montana and the Niners here. 1st and 10, 1st and goal, ball on the 9. 10 minutes left to go in this fourth quarter. It's going to be an official stoppage here, even with the clock running. And they'll come out. Boys ready to go. Smith in the shotgun, clapping for the snap. Gives the handoff up the middle. Lee Lewis stuck behind a blocker, eventually taken down a yard or two to gain. And that'll set up second and goal, ball on the 8-yard line.
Yeah, it's always tough getting into an end goal situation when you're more than 5 yards away from the goal line. Fordham has not done a great job getting their first downs early in series, now with a 2nd and long situation to try and score again.
Gunnar Smith snaps back, throws, ball comes in the air after the incompletion, or after coming off the hands of the receiver. A dangerous play there after the drop from Ricky Parks, but it'll set up 3rd down, 8 yards to the goal line. 9 minutes left to go in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, Weiderman making another play, this time in the passing game. He sacked Gunnar Smith the last time he made a big play. He comes off now, but a pass deflection there forces a 3rd down and 8 to go before the goal line.
3rd and 8, 9 minutes to go. Gunnar Smith in the shotgun. Fordham down 2 scores. See what the Ram offense can do. Takes the snap. 2-step drop back. Tries to find Parks in the flat on the far sideline, and that one's broken up. Fantastic play and coverage from Ryan Gadsden coming off injury, and that'll set up 4th down. Fordham has to go for it.
Have to go for it, down 2 scores. Lafayette, another linebacker, Robert Stevens, came off the edge and gave Gunnar Smith a shot on that one. It's now... Fordham looks like they're going to send out the field goal unit here from 4th and 8.
Yeah, they're going to kick a field goal here. Bennett Henderson and the rest of the field goal unit out there.
And making an 11-point game.
Yeah, trying to make it 11. Down 2 scores right now, 14-0. 9 minutes to go in this one. Henderson's going to take this one from the 15-yard line. The kick is up. And the kick is good. Fordham Rams on the scoreboard once again, this time with a field goal, and they cut the Lafayette lead to 11.
Yeah, about a 32-yard field goal attempt that time. Or, excuse me, it's actually more of a 22-yarder. But Fordham, that time, let the pressure get to Gunnar Smith again, and that's the reason why he couldn't make his connection with Ricky Parks in the flat. Fordham is now last in the Patriot League in sacks on the season with 21, 4 in this game alone against Lafayette. Fordham also has yet to get to the Lafayette quarterback in this one.
And Fordham Rams also 2 for 14 on third down. They're 4 for 4 on fourth down today, which is ridiculous in itself, but definitely interesting just how poor they've been on third down, and especially with that decision there to kick the field goal. It seems like they've been money on fourth down. That was dramatically farther than anything they've converted so far this afternoon.
Absolutely, but I think a part of the reason why their third down conversion rate has been subpar today is because a lot of their third downs have come in third and long situations. Fordham has not been getting a lot of manageable distances on their third downs. The more manageable distance has been coming on fourth down after third down plays that are getting 3 to 4 yards. But it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10s, or behind the sticks a lot of the time on third down as well, is what is really hampering Fordham's ability to convert on third down and forcing them to convert on fourth instead.
It'll be, once again, the Leopard offense running out there, led by Dean DeNoble. Dean DeNoble, 24 completions, 32 attempts, 1 interception in this one, 75% completion percentage on 251 yards. Elijah Stewart is the largest recipient of yards so far this afternoon. He has 85 yards for 5 receptions. That's 17 yards a reception. Elijah Stewart, same guy who's led this program in receiving yards the last 3 seasons and has continued that momentum into this afternoon.
Yeah, led the team in touchdowns coming into this game with 2 on the year. Also had 239 yards total on 21 catches coming into this game, with his longest being a 48-yarder earlier in this season. His longest today, though, is a 34-yard play that I believe it was the first catch he made back in the first quarter.
Yeah.
One of the first of 2 hurdle plays that came in that first half from him.
And Fordham kicks it off. Bennett Henderson sends it very high in the air. Fair catch is called inside the 5-yard line. It's going to be down at the 4 for this Fordham defense as they try to get another stop, as they try to put together another stop against this Lafayette offense.
Well, back-to-back drives ending in a score for the Fordham Rams has their deficit down to 11. And so with 9 minutes to go in the game, we've gotten to a point where Lafayette is probably going to start playing offensively with a little bit more impetus. They need to get the ball down the field here. They can't really afford to keep going through the motions, working time off the clock, and sending the football back to the Fordham Rams. They'd like to keep it for as long as they can on this drive.
And it was called the touchback inside that 5-yard line. So on the 25 is where we'll start for the drive. DeNoble rolls out right, tries to find his receiver Mason Kerner around that first down marker. It was broken up, and that'll set up second down on the 25.
Yeah, chalk that up as a pass deflection for T.J. Jones, the second. Excellent play there, getting his hand out in front of the receiver and slapping it down to the turf.
That sets up 2nd and 10 after the incompletion. Ball still on Lafayette's 25. DeNoble and Lafayette setting up in the shotgun. Receivers on both sides of the quarterback. 1 receiver out left, 2 receivers out right. 2 running backs in the backfield. Fake handoff, thrown up the middle. Carson Persing catches it and is still running at the 30, at the 20, finally taken down at the 10. What a play from Dean DeNoble and Carson Persing, catching that ball on a slant and taking it a whole lot of yards.
Yeah, and the safety for the Fordham Rams, there was 1 high safety for Fordham in that secondary. He stepped down to try and make the hit on Persing, but he absolutely dusts him on the diving tackle attempt and gets way down the field. I thought he was getting loose for the end zone, but a good play defensively to chase him down and keep Lafayette out of the end zone. However, they completely flip-flop the field here. It's a 1st and 10 from inside Fordham's 15.
4 receptions for 84 yards for Persing. 1 game this season over 100 yards, and that was against Stonehill. And a handoff at the 12-yard line. Ethan Weber picks up a bunch, eventually taken down around the 4, and it'll be an 8-yard pickup. And the Lafayette offense inside the 5-yard line, knocking at the door.
Yeah, I have to imagine they'll give it back to Weber here and continue to pound the rock. Eat time off of the 4th quarter clock, but also look to get him a touchdown.
Yeah, you're right there, Tucker. Ethan Weber getting the handoff once again. That was an inside zone that had nothing. And once again, it's going to be 3rd down for Lafayette.
Another nice play by Osman. He's really great against the run, jumping the offensive line and getting into the backfield. Fordham knows that Lafayette wants to go back to the run on that play, and they're all over it.
Jakiri Henley coming in at halfback for Lafayette. Weber coming off. Would have to expect a pass play here. 3rd and 6. Ball on the Fordham 8-yard line. 6 yards to go for the 1st down. 3rd down. DeNoble. Looking left. Looking in the back of the end zone, Elijah Stewart couldn't get there, but there's a flag in the end zone. I believe it's going to be pass interference on Justin Johnson on Stewart.
Yeah, DPI coming in the end zone for the Fordham Rams. Not a lot of defensive penalties today for Fordham, but
Johnson just couldn't hold on to him there.
No.
Johnson trying not to have another incident in the end zone this afternoon.
And the call comes there on the field from the head referee. I believe his microphone stopped working, but it's an automatic 1st down, as the chain gang hasn't really changed it up yet, but it should be a 1st down. Okay, so they're going to put the ball on the 2.
Yeah, the
1st and goal for Lafayette.
Yeah, 1st and goal for Lafayette on the 2-yard line. That's I believe a 5-yard penalty in this situation. And yeah, the ball will be down on the 2.
After the penalty, it'll be 1st and goal from the 3.
Or from the 3-yard line, my mistake. 1st and goal from the 3. DeNoble in the shotgun. Weber directly behind him. 2 receivers stacked to his left. Gives the handoff. No holes there for Weber. He's taken down in the backfield once again. It's Jack Lowe leading the pack, and that'll set up 2nd down.
Yeah, also getting in there for the Fordham Rams was Carter Hess, the D-lineman. Couple of heads on the football to make that tackle. Fordham has been really excellent against the run from inside their own 10, but Lafayette has plenty of tricks in the bag here, and 3 downs effectively to work with unless they take that field goal on 4th.
And Tucker, the defense Fordham has shown this close to the goal line so far this afternoon is why that Lafayette point total isn't higher. DeNoble setting up at the 5 in the shotgun once again. Hands it off. Once again, Weber gets the touch. Facing a lot of contact and eventually, I believe, taken down right in front of the end zone. It won't be a touchdown. It'll be about a yard short on the 4-yard carry.
Yeah, 3 separate surges forward for Weber on that play, and the last one nearly got to the end zone, but the far side referee immediately pointing at the turf for a knee down on the 1. Brings up 3rd down here. See if Fordham can get a stuff at the goal line.
Yeah, 3rd and goal for the Fordham defense. Leopards have 1 yard to go for the end zone. See how they set up here. DeNoble in the shotgun once again. DeNoble hands it off up the middle. 3 straight plays of the same thing, and the Fordham defense is all over it. Some extracurriculars in the back of the end zone as well. Drew Minnick and the guy who was blocking him went all the way behind in the back of the end zone, around 15 yards behind the end zone, blocking each other. Nonetheless, despite the extracurriculars, Fordham with the stop.
Yeah, Minnick looking for a penalty in the back of the end zone. Meanwhile, Burkle and Osman combining for the stop for a 1-yard loss. It's 4th down and 2 yards to go for the goal.
Doesn't look like Lafayette's offense is going anywhere.
No, it doesn't.
They're waiting on the call from their coaching staff.
They're waiting on a timeout here so they can take as much time off the clock as possible. John Troxel
standing right next to the official there.
Takes his timeout finally with 4:40.
4:40 to go in this ball game. A 4th and 2 situation for Lafayette on the goal line on the 2. And we'll take a little break here from Easton, Pennsylvania. Fordham trailing 21-10 on the road at Lafayette. You're listening to Fordham Football on WFUV Sports.
Hey, what's up? It's Owen Kelty, one of WFUV Sports' New York Knicks beat reporters. Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks look to dominate the East and bring a championship back to New York. Keep up all season long on my X account at Owen Kelty for all the highs and lows of New York Knicks basketball. WFUV Sports is your home for all things Knicks.
Back here in the Patriot League at Lafayette College, and we're finding you right in the middle of the action. A 4th and 2. It seems like the kicking unit's actually going to come out for Lafayette, and they'll try and kick this one in the end zone, add 3 points to their lead. The hold is good, the kick is good, and right through the middle of the uprights. Lafayette going up 24-10 on that field goal, and they just erased all the work Fordham did in their last drive.
Yeah, exactly the type of drive that I talked about them needing before that drive started, Chris. They want to take as much time off the clock as possible and end it with points, either as a field goal or a touchdown. Touchdown would have put this game away for sure. Field goal doesn't quite put it away yet. However, it does mean that the Fordham Rams are going to need 2 stops and 2 touchdowns. They cannot afford any more to settle for field goals. Fordham going to get the ball back here from Lafayette, but they need another very quick strike, followed by another stop, and then another quick strike.
Jack Simonetto on the kick there. He puts out Lafayette back to a 2-touchdown lead. As Tucker said, Fordham going to need to amount some stops and some scores to get back into this ball game. It'll be Graham Smith on the kickoff for Lafayette. Fordham getting the ball back. 4:38 to go in this 4th quarter, down 24-10.
Yeah, and Fordham had let their opponents score on 23 of 23 trips to the red zone to start this season.
Holy moly.
But today in the red zone, Fordham forced a turnover on downs in the first half and then just forced a field goal on a red zone trip for Lafayette. So very successful red zone defense, and I would say defense overall has been fairly successful in this game. But now it's up to Gunnar Smith and the Fordham offense to try and put a couple of big drives together with under 5 minutes to go in this game.
Troy Worrell taking the fair catch signal there on the catch, so the Fordham will have it as a touchback at the 25. That's where the drive will start. 1st and 10 on the Lafayette 25. Gunnar Smith, Ricky Parks, the rest of the offense trotting out there. Here we go, Fordham. One of, if not their biggest drives of the season. 1st and 10, Smith dropping back to pass to Parks in the flat. Avoids a tackle on the near sideline, gets some extra yards past the 30, finally taken down at the 31. It's a 6-yard pickup for Ricky Parks.
And Ricky Parks, that was an angry run after the catch there. He leveled Ryan Gadsden, who's been delivering plenty of lumber today for Lafayette. Parks levels him instead.
2nd and 4. Ball on their own 31. Gunnar Smith back to pass. Throws it over the middle, and it's intercepted. A diving interception, an acrobatic interception from Kevin Doder, the sophomore. And that maybe is the nail in the coffin for this Fordham team.
What a play from Kevin Dodard. Dodard, who already has an interception on the season for Lafayette, makes it 2 on the year as he rings the turnover bell with 4:09 to go. And just a really unfortunate play there for Gunnar Smith, looking over the middle of the field. Smith now with interceptions in 5 of his first 6 games as a Fordham Ram and 6 interceptions overall. Believe he leads the Patriot League in interceptions thrown and now adds to that rather unfortunate record. We'll see what Lafayette puts together here, because they could just run the ball, run the clock out, or maybe look for another score.
Kevin Dodard started every game of this season so far at free safety. The Fort Worth, Texas native, making the biggest play for his team of the afternoon so far. That's a short run there for 2 to 3 yards out of the backfield of Lafayette, and that's how the drive will start.
Boy, Weber, though not having as much impact as Lafayette is used to him having, has still been a crucial part of this Lafayette offense. Similarly to what Fordham had to do against Holy Cross last week, Weber really a part of the establishment of the run game that's allowed Lafayette to really just go wild in the passing game. 319 yards in the air for the Leopards.
Dodard, one of the underclassmen starting on this defense, a large amount of underclassmen starting on this defensive side. Only one returning defender from last year's starters, and he's given them a good name, that young unit of Lafayette.
From the Fordham 42-yard line.
Christian Watson, the cornerback, another freshman starter for this Lafayette defense. Another run play there right at the first down marker. I believe they got it.
Yeah, forward progress. They're going to get that. A little 3 yards past the first down marker, but the pile did move both ways a little bit. Plenty of pushing and shoving. Good to see the Fordham defense still trying to get into it.
1st and 10, ball on the Fordham 36. 36 yards to go. Lafayette really gonna slow this down, gonna slow the tempo down, not the no huddle that we saw in the first half. Lafayette moving at lightning speed in that first half. DeNoble in the shotgun, 3 receivers to his left. Moves a receiver in motion. Now the run. Ethan Weber bouncing it out left, down the left sideline, thrown out of bounds around the 20. That'll be a 15-yard gain for the Lafayette offense. And another chunk play for Lafayette, Tucker, even when it seems like they don't want it.
Yeah, they just keep going outside zone, and Fordham's defense has completely lost the edge here late in the game.
2 minutes and counting, 2:20 and counting, 20 seconds till the 2-minute warning. And it seems as if Lafayette's going to wait for the 2-minute warning here. Standing on the field, and they're going to let this time run out to the 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning here at Lafayette College. Lafayette Leopards leading 24-10 on the Fordham Rams. A big interception by Dodard on their last defensive possession, and that seemingly put the game away. Now Lafayette in cruise control of this game this afternoon. 24-10, 2-minute warning here in the fourth quarter. You're listening to WFUV Sports and Fordham Football.
Hi, this is Mike Breen, WFUV class of 1983. WFUV is the flagship station of Fordham Athletics with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to Saturday one-on-one. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV Sports.
.10 home lead for the Lafayette Leopards over the traveling Fordham Rams. Fordham Rams get 10 points on the board in this second half after a goose egg in that first half, but Tucker just seemingly hasn't been enough.
No, it really hasn't, Chris, and it comes down to lack of offensive efficiency, not lack of production necessarily in terms of the yards, but really lack of efficiency. And we've been talking a lot about Fordham's ability to move the ball on third down and how they really haven't been able to convert on their third downs. They've converted more fourth downs than any other team in the Patriot League, but that just goes to show you that they really struggle on first through third downs. And it happened again today. They got 286 yards in the air, but once again, the run game nowhere to be found. Just 51 yards on the ground between 4 different running backs, and one of those rushers is Gunnar Smith, who has negative 14 yards, having taken 4 sacks in this game. Fordham also now leading the Patriot League in sacks given up.
Gunnar started this game after the first quarter, second on Fordham in rushes, and throughout this game has lost yards due to those sacks as the games went along. Ball on the Fordham 22. DeNoble will have it right on the precipice of the red zone. Not sure if they're going to try and get in the end zone here. Might just try and run out the clock. 1st and 10, 2 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Lafayette, a 2-touchdown lead. That ball handed right up the middle for Ethan Weber. Not going to get a ton of yards there, and it'll keep the clock moving.
Well,
ball got loose. I don't think that was a live ball.
Yeah, Fordham coach Joe Conlon, I believe, signaled to take a timeout immediately after that play was whistled dead. So likely going to have Fordham take all 3 of their second half timeouts here to try and stop the clock and get the ball back. Lafayette in field goal range here could add 3 points to their total if Fordham gets 3 more stops.
Another timeout here in Easton, Pennsylvania. As we've said, a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. Mid-70s to high 70s. Not a cloud in the sky, and if there are clouds in the sky, they look gorgeous. It's been
wispy clouds.
A fantastic day of football here today. Fordham wishing they had some moments back from this afternoon, no doubt.
It's another really odd game, though, because when you look at the stats and then you look at the scoreboard, things just don't really seem to add up that well. Fordham's offense should be putting way more points on the board than they are.
And that's going to be another play right up the middle, not trying to do too much. Another timeout from Joe Conlon as well. Seems like Lafayette's not trying to do too much, and Fordham's trying to do a lot here.
Yeah, Fordham is trying to do just about everything they can to try and get back into this game. 2 good stops on run plays up the middle that Fordham likely knew was coming from Lafayette because Lafayette's just trying to get this game over with. We'll see what they pull out on 3rd down and 10 here. If they just hand it off again, force Fordham to burn the last timeout, or they could ice the game with a 1st down here.
Game would be iced with a 1st down. Only 1 minute and 50 seconds on the clock. A 1st down would make this game effectively over.
Look, Chris, the 1st down is at Fordham's 12-yard line, so if they got that 1st down, they'd also probably be in danger of scoring, too. Another score certainly
they can
puts
also
this game
just kneel
away.
it out there as well. It's that would feel a bit.
I mean, if they got past the Fordham 12 and continued to run.
On
the same play
instead of an Ahmad Bradshaw situation.
No, surely if they get the 1st down here, it'll be victory formation.
From the Fordham 22.
DeNoble in the shotgun, 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. I think that's going to be a false start on the offense on the line. I don't think that was on purpose. That'll set up an even longer 3rd down.
That's the first penalty against this Lafayette offense since, I believe, the first half. They've played a really, really clean game. Since
Legal procedure call against Lafayette.
Being out penalizing, I guess. They were out penalized compared to the Fordham Rams after the first quarter, but ever since then, they have been totally locked in on the offensive side of the ball, both in execution of their plays and in lack of mistakes.
Rams defending a 3rd and 15 here. It's just going to be a run, and the run is broke loose. Eventually, Weber taken down right before the 15-yard line. It'll be a 12-yard gain for Weber. Not quite the 1st down, but got a lot of yards. Also, stopped the clock by going out of bounds, which I don't really understand.
It brings up a 4th down here. Not sure if they'll leave the offense on the field or send out the field goal unit again to try and make this a 17-point game.
It seems like the offense will stay out there. DeNoble going in the shotgun position. Weber directly to his left. 3 receivers stacked on the near sideline. 4th and 6. Lafayette trying to ice the game. Minute 44 in this 4th quarter. Persing going in motion to the right. DeNoble rolls out right. Looks for Persing. Ball way behind him. T.J. Jones, good coverage there, but incomplete once again, and that'll bring out the Fordham offense.
Miscommunication between the quarterback and the route runner there for Lafayette. DeNoble was looking for something close to the near right side pylon. Meanwhile, his man Persing was running towards the back of the end zone, maybe going to come back across the middle of the field. So ball and receiver moving opposite directions, winds up in a turnover on downs. Another turnover on downs, either inside the red zone or close to the red zone for this Fordham defense, and Gunnar Smith will come back out, trying to find another score for the Fordham Rams.
Tucker, that's what you would write home about as this Fordham team, the way they've been able to defend around the end zone. Gunner on the hit, takes a hit, and still delivers down the field, down the middle of the field to Noden Tracy. Past the 30, will be down and around the 32-yard line. Gunner Smith hanging in there and delivering a great throw.
And I believe Coach Conlon was, although that's an incomplete pass, actually. He didn't keep his hands on the football. It gets loose, so 2nd and 10, but the clock does stop at 1:35.
Yeah, clock stopped at 1:35. 2nd and 10, ball on their own 18-yard line. Long way to go for the Rams. Smith throws it to Tracy once again on a comeback route. That one right before the 30, and be around 10 yards on the game.
Clock going to move now, and Joe Conlon is content not to call his last time out.
3rd and 1. Trying to convert on 3rd down. Had a lot of trouble so far this afternoon on 3rd down. Smith back to pass, trying to find Tracy, and it's incomplete.
For Tracy, incomplete.
2 targets, 2 drops on this drive for Noden Tracy now.
Fordham going to have it on 4th down, 4th and 1. 4 for 4 on 4th down so far this afternoon. This is for the game. Fake handoff. Smith has it by himself, gets the 1st down out to around the 35-yard line, 8 yards on the rush, and that'll keep the Fordham offense going.
And it's plays like this that sort of make you wonder, Chris, where this offense was the entire rest of the game. Gunner Smith doing a good job keeping it himself and finding plenty of open space. Maybe Lafayette not really worrying about his legs as much.
Smith drops back to pass. 1st and 10, less than a minute left. Finds Ricky Gonzalez, continuing his career-high day on that far sideline. 1st down, and the chains are moving. So is that clock.
Yeah, and
the clock stops, actually. Ricky got out of bounds. 48 seconds is where the clock is stopped.
Career-high days for several Fordham offensive players. It's been such an odd experience watching them have so much success in terms of yards, but then not find the end zone.
And that's a roll out right, thrown and caught. Benton makes the catch before the 35, then gets past the 35, and Fordham's moving.
About a 25-yard connection from Smith to Jack Benton. Benton nearly got free and was almost running down the sideline if he hadn't been brought down by the D-back.
Similar to the play on the far sideline early in this game. Smith trying to find Benton once again, similar to the Tracy play before. That one hits the turf before it can hit his hands. An incompletion for Fordham. They'll recalibrate on 2nd down, 2nd and 10. On the Lafayette 35, half a minute to go in this 4th quarter.
I like the idea of going back to Benton after a completion, see if he can't find it again. He was open, but going down to the ground as he tried to make the catch, and he could not hold on to it.
It's going to be Gunner Smith in the shotgun. Drops back, 2-step drop, looking near sideline, and he's swallowed. Couldn't even see him when the Lafayette defense got in the backfield, and that's a sack, another sack for Gunner Smith.
The 5th sack of the afternoon for the Lafayette Leopards. It'd be fitting if this ended the game. Taking under 10, it looks like Fordham's going to try and get a snap off.
Yeah, Fordham going to try and get a quick snap off. 5 seconds and counting. This is the last play of the game. Smith gets it out wide. The catch is made, and that'll be it. The catch is made. Jack Freeberg runs out of bounds after the catch, and that's the end of our ball game. Noted Tracy hunched over, hurt after the play. Nonetheless, Lafayette get their victory. Losing to Princeton last week after the 3-game win streak, and they get back in the win column 24-10 at home over the Fordham Rams.
Can't quite tell if that's injury related for Noden Tracy or at this point, or excuse me, that's actually Troy Worrell over there on the near sideline. He was back in the game, of course, and maybe still feeling his injury on the touchdown a little bit, but both teams shaking hands at midfield now, and Fordham is back in the loss column after getting their first win of the season against Holy Cross last week. And Chris, like we've been saying the whole game, it doesn't really make much sense that Fordham just lost this game by 2 touchdowns.
No.
It really, based on the yardage and based on the way that Gunner Smith played for a majority of this game, based on the way the defense played for 2 quarters, really a majority of 3 quarters, and through to the end as well, especially in the red zone, there were so many good portions of this game for the Fordham Rams, but Lafayette just executed so well in that end of the second quarter, start of the third.
And for the most part, we've talked, Tucker, specifically third quarters. We saw it on the turnover or the punt block in that third quarter, but it seems when the games turn from the first half to the second, whether Fordham is competitive in the first half or not, they'll have a big play that then leads to a bunch of unanswered points and kind of just creates the division for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and like we saw it with the pick six against Boston College, and it's come out a couple of times in the game since. Today it was the blocked punt, which I believe is the first time a punt has been blocked by a Fordham opponent in this season. Will Haslett had been getting them away clean all year before that.
The All-Patriot League preseason.
And, of course, a punt block doesn't have to end in a touchdown.
Right.
If you can bring him down, it can just set up the offense for Lafayette with good field position. But it's a scoop and a score off the block punt that just kind of compounds all of the mistakes.
It's one of those deceivingly difficult things, a scoop and score in the NFL. Aguilera did it perfectly. And that's it for us here in Easton, Pennsylvania. We'll come back to chat with the post-game crew in a little bit. But for now, that's it for us from Easton, Pennsylvania. The Fordham Rams travel to Pennsylvania and lose 24-10. And Lafayette get back in the win column after losing last week and getting their 3-game win streak snapped. I want to thank everyone on this broadcast. Henry Wolf, the engineer, of course, our boss, Joe Henry, on production. Had some great highlights today from Travis Hayden IV and Luca Cole. Of course, we're going to send it back to the Rose Hill studio for a post-game report with Mary Hannah Gallagher and, of course, Gabby Price. Take it away, girls.
The one-on-one post-game report.
Hello and welcome back to Rose Hill Studios in Keating Basement. As we mourn a loss today, we have one more update from Gabby Price.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Back with one final update today. Let's start in the Patriot League. The Duquesne Dukes won 34-7 against Stonehill. Bucknell completed a comeback against the Spiders. 33-28 was the final score. Lehigh is sending Yale back to Connecticut with a score of 31-13. Penn now has the upper hand against Dartmouth. Score is 24-26 in the third quarter. Looking a little farther away, Georgia will take the win over Kentucky. Score is 35-7. Michigan beat Wisconsin 24-7, and Clemson will take the win against UNC 38-10. On the docket for 3:30, Penn State, UCLA, Texas, Florida, and Vanderbilt, Alabama. Those games will kick off. Switching bases, the Brewers just keep scoring 9-1 in the third. But that will do it for the one-on-one scoreboard today. I'm Gabby Price.
Thank you, Gabby. Before we get into the highlights of today, we're going to bring our broadcasters, Chris Carrino and Tucker Austin, back on the air. Guys, great call today. We have a few questions for you guys about your thoughts on today's loss. Tucker, Gunnar Smith had one of his best passing yard games today, but how do you think that the offensive line can kind of be more efficient in the early down situations to be more capable when those downs get more scarce?
Yeah, I think the offensive line really, they struggled to get to their assignments more often than not in this game, in the run and the pass, although they did manage to protect Gunnar Smith for a majority of his dropbacks. Still, 5 sacks is borderline unacceptable, and Fordham, as we mentioned during the broadcast, is now the worst team by the numbers in the Patriot League when it comes to protecting their quarterback in the pass. In terms of the run, I think the offensive line definitely had flashes of what we saw last week, where they were getting to their assignments and making holes in the line for Ricky Parks to fire through. But again, more often than not, it was the offensive line sort of collapsing on itself and Ricky Parks not having any space to get through.
Once again, great call today, guys. I'm also going to keep it on the offensive side, but focusing on the passing game. What did you like from it today, and how do you see it improving? Obviously, great receiving game today, but what are your guys' takeaway from this?
Yeah, Gabby, I thought just on an eye test level, I thought Gunnar Smith, specifically in the play action examples, looked very comfortable in the pocket. He obviously, as the game went on, started getting more and more pressures, but from a comfortability level and a confidence level, I liked a lot of what I saw from Gunnar today. Obviously, 354 yards on the day. That's less than 30 yards of the season high. That was against Monmouth. He had almost 400 yards in that game. 32 for 45. It's a decent percentage, 71%. They didn't throw the ball a lot. And then looking at the receiving numbers, 5 receptions for Jack Freeberg. Ended up having a hell of a resume today when you kind of got toward down the stretch of that game. 4 receptions for Worrell, 9 receptions for Gonzalez, 6 receptions for Tracy. We talked last week about how receivers weren't getting a lot of touches on the ball, and if they were big plays. Today, receivers were getting the ball a lot. That is a lot of receptions.
Yeah, Fordham nearly had they either nearly had or they actually got to double-digit pass catchers in this game. Like you mentioned, Freeberg had over a 100-yard game on 5 catches. Troy Worrell, 91 yards and a touchdown. Ricky Gonzalez was a complete safety blanket for Gunnar Smith in this game. He almost got up to 10 catches, had 9 for 69 yards. Noden Tracy picked up 57 yards on 6 catches. You sprinkle in a couple of other guys here and there, and Fordham outgained Lafayette in the passing game, but my issue with that is that it is not indicative of how this game went at all. A lot of those yards came during garbage time for the Fordham Rams in that fourth quarter. 354 through the air, but Lafayette, I believe, outgained Fordham in the total because they put up 319 in the passing game, rushed for 83. Fordham rushed for just 51. It's the same story from the weeks prior to the Holy Cross game, Chris, where just the passing game couldn't get anything going. Meanwhile, the passing game, the passing game was fine, but couldn't get anything going on the ground, and that allowed Lafayette to really focus in on the quarterback and get through the line of scrimmage every time he handed the ball off and every time that Gunnar Smith kept it.
Well, Tucker, we also talked with Coach Joe Conlon yesterday about how much the run game opens up the rest of the offense. It doesn't even have to do with the run game. The pass game is so heavily affected by how effectively you're running the ball. You were right, 10 pass catchers for Fordham today, 4 guys with at least 4 receptions or more, 3 guys with at least 5 receptions or more. Of course, leading that pack, Ricky Gonzalez with his career high of 9 receptions today. But from a comfortability level, catching and throwing the ball, a lot of things to come back positively from this Fordham team. It's just that aspect of the run game that was missing, which really made the lack of effectiveness even more accentuated as this game went into the second half.
I think we've also gotten to a point where we should start to maybe be a little bit concerned with the interceptions for Gunnar Smith, because through 5 weeks, I think we were able to look the other way in terms of the picks because he was also throwing and running in touchdowns. Yeah. But another interception comes out in this game, and we mentioned during the broadcast that 5 of his 6 games so far for Fordham, he's had an interception, and he also leads the Patriot League in interceptions thrown. You add in the fact that he got sacked 5 times, and one of them was a strip sack, and then he's also been strip sacked a couple of times so far in this season. Taking care of the football, I think, really needs to become more of an emphasis for this Fordham team going forward.
And all that's not on him either. A lot of that's the protection as well. We saw Lachlan go down.
I would argue a majority is the protection.
Yeah, because Gunnar, from an ability perspective, has not gave me many things to worry about this season, especially today. But Kevin Lachlan on the right guard, he was banged up today. Duke Leonard came back today at left guard. He was injured last week, the team captain. So I just think a lot of shuffling going on around that offensive line. There's a real lack of cohesion there, and you could see it from the sack numbers, from just how hard Gunnar was getting hit numbers, all of it. It doesn't come up well for the Fordham offensive line.
Guys, we have one more question here for you, and I'd love to see what both of your thoughts are on what can tighten up with end zone execution kind of defensively for the Rams, and do you think that fixing those kind of small details would make a difference in the overall performance of a Rams defense, or do you think that it just needs kind of a huge rebrand to be a real threat in our league?
Well, I think the defense did a majority. They did a good job in this game when they got close to their own end zone.
Yeah, especially on the goal line.
Yeah, especially on the goal line. But I think it's just down to what you can chalk it up to for the Fordham defense today is just that they got tired. They stopped Lafayette so many times that eventually they ran out of gas, and then Lafayette was able to find 3 touchdowns in relatively quick succession. 2 in the second quarter, and then The one wasn't even an offensive touchdown for Lafayette, so they really only scored 2 offensive touchdowns in this game. They both came in the second quarter after Fordham spent the entire first quarter keeping them off the scoreboard. I'm not sure if there's much the defense can do to really tweak how they play to do any better in the red zone. I guess my biggest suggestion would be the defense would be to just wrap your starters in bubble wrap, because they are so ridiculously injured that's also hampering their ability to stop teams.
Yeah, there's been a ton of injury trouble on this defense. The point I was going to make, talking about how you talked about you praised their goal line defense. I thought their goal line defense was good tonight as well. There's a certain desperate tone or vibe that this Fordham team has defensively around the end zone, where they really lock in, they really give it their all to not let the team in the end zone. That sort of vibe, that sort of tone needs to be set not only by the end zone, by the goal line, inside the 5-yard line, but that needs to happen for 100 yards. That sort of mentality going all the way down the field. There's no way offenses, especially like this one, will be going through the Fordham defense the way they have if they can just keep that sort of goal line mentality they have on defense.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Again, great call today. We are going to turn it back to the highlights of the second half of today's game. Lafayette started off the big playmaking of the second half with a statement interception.
3rd and 5 on the Fordham 29. DeNoble scrambles out right, rolls out right, looks for a pass, tries to find Persing, and it's in the hands of a Fordham Ram. More specifically, Boogie Owens got it off the deflection, a turnover caused by the Fordham defense, and they just might have given their team some hope.
And then later on, Lafayette went on to take an opening to block a punt, running it into the end zone and putting more points on the board.
Another punt here, Will Hazlitt. He's been very busy so far this afternoon. He's going to kick this one from the 12-yard line. It's blocked! Blocked in the back. And it's caught, picked up, brought in the end zone. Touchdown, Leopards. An improbable touchdown.
And then, as we entered the fourth quarter, the Fordham Rams snuck some points on the board with their only touchdown of the game.
Smith in the shotgun. Claps for the snap. Looks, back end zone. Worrell. It's caught. Toe-dragging touchdown for Troy Worrell. What a throw. What a catch. And the Fordham Rams back within 2 possessions.
The two teams would then go on to trade field goals, but not before the end of the game, when Lafayette would manage to snag another interception as we got into the single digits of the time in the game.
2nd and 4. Ball on their own 31. Gunnar Smith back to pass. Throws it over the middle, and it's intercepted. A diving interception, an acrobatic interception from Kevin Doder, the sophomore, and that maybe is the nail in the coffin for this Fordham team.
As the game rounded off, Gabby, what do you think our final thoughts should be on the performance of the Rams today, as kind of from a defensive standpoint where they maybe really improved on their defense throughout the game and even just from past games?
Yeah. I think overall there are positives to take away from this game. I know obviously they did not get the win, but it was a pretty good defensive day for the Rams, especially as Chris and Tucker said, closer to the end zone. So, I mean, obviously there are things to clean up, but I think from a defensive standpoint, you should feel pretty proud with how you played today. And I think, the way it reflects in the score were maybe because of other problems that happened throughout the game, but right. I don't think you blame the defense for that at all.
I totally agree. I think the defense was really able to protect kind of the ball from getting out of the end zone, as Chris Carrino had mentioned. Kind of the defense kind of overcame some stuff of what they lacked in other games. There was a stat that was thrown out there about how in every game before this, 23 out of 23 times as they got into the red zone, the defense would fail to protect that end zone. But they overcame that today, and I think that's a real testament to how the defense has really kind of collected themselves together under the leadership of their head coach, of course, but also kind of worked together. I think a lot of what was wrong with this game today had a lot to do with protection of the quarterback and protection of each other as they tried to catch balls. Gabby, what are your kind of thoughts on how what the offense lacked going into today?
I mean, they were Laurel and Gonzalez both had career high days. Again, I think Tucker said it first. The way, the loss that happened, again, I think I contribute more to you throw an interception, you miss a field goal, like all those, they were just bad mistakes at bad times. The offense, I thought that it got better throughout the game. I thought the passing game got a lot better, as Chris and Tucker mentioned. Working on the running game will definitely be a point of focus going forward. Sure. But overall, I think the offense did as much as they could have given the circumstances today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there was a lot that the offense did well. We got 23 first downs this game, 31 rushing attempts. But something that Lafayette really had over us was their extenuous number of rushing yards with 83 compared to Fordham's 51. That's things that really an offense needs to be able to try to tack down when it comes to getting that ball from one side of the field to the other. And also the kick return yards, 1 to 113, I kind of found out not as good as maybe Lafayette's 117. Further kind of just interceptions, I would have loved to see Fordham do more with the interception that they got.
Give credit to Owens, though.
Yes, that was a big interception.
A game changer. When you talk about momentum in this game, I think you have to contribute that, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And that kind of momentum kind of changed how they went into the rest of this half, I think, and really contributed to getting that touchdown at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Joe, I know that you mentioned kind of your thoughts on how the offense lacked this game. Wondering what your thoughts were on some of that.
Yeah, I think it starts with the run, and we can talk about efficiency in the red zone, the ability to finish drives and get points on the board. Of course, another 3 points left off the board today from Bennett Henderson. Another missed field goal that was from a makeable distance. But I think the running game is the first place you have to look. You mentioned it, just 51 rushing yards on 31 attempts. That's 1.6 per attempt. That's less than half of what you consider maybe even an average mark. They were just about doubled up by Lafayette, and that's considering that Fordham's rushing defense is quite good, and they actually did very well defending the rush. Lafayette only had 3 yards per carry, so clearly the ground game is the sample size is still pretty small. It's 6 games, you're 1-5, but in the one game that you won, it was the game where you had your highest rushing output, and that was without Jamel James, who has emerged as a really good back for this team. Now he comes back from injury. I understand he was banged up. He didn't get a lot of touches. He only had 3 attempts on the ground, but Ricky Parks had another decent game. Gunnar Smith really continues to struggle to be terribly efficient on the ground as a rusher at the quarterback position. And Yohan Lee Lewis, I'd like to see the freshman get some more touches in the backfield. I think that he's been a pretty dynamic guy, and today only 4 rushing attempts. I think you have to get the ground game going, especially in early down situations, in order to create more favorable matchups on those third downs, whereas we talked about Fordham really struggled today. They went just 3 for 16 on third down conversions, and it's not like those are 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 2s that they can't connect on. A lot of these are 3rd and longs that are set up by, yes, the offensive line struggling and giving up the 5 sacks, but also by poor rushing outputs and negative plays with screen passes, a lot of looks to the flats on the receiving game that didn't go Fordham's way and created these negative situations where you really can't convert on those third downs. So I think in order for them to have a more balanced attack and really actually put points on the board, despite all the yards that they put up, Gunnar Smith having 354 as second best output of the season, it starts with the run game, and it starts on early downs, getting those 5 yards on first down, getting the extra 4 yards on second down. So you're setting up a 3rd and 1 instead of a 3rd and 12, because that's too often what the case was today.
Yeah, I'd almost like to kind of loop you in on the question that I asked Tucker earlier in this post-game report was, how do you think that the offensive line can be more efficient when it comes to those early down situations and kind of being more capable when those downs do get scarce?
As Tucker said, I would wrap them in bubble wrap for the second straight year. Injuries continue to be a serious issue for this offensive line, and ironically enough, I know they allowed 5 sacks today, but they averaged allowing more than 5 sacks last season. So the offensive line's actually better than it was last year. And I thought they probably had their best game last week against Holy Cross in the win. I think today was more of a step back. You can understand it given the injuries. I think this is part of where Fordham had the right idea of going to the flats a lot, where they can get the ball out of Gunner's hands quickly so the offensive line doesn't have to do a whole ton of blocking and then let their playmakers make a play. I think in those situations, more often than not, the playmakers weren't able to make a play, and that's part of what had them behind. So it's a mutualistic relationship, right? The offensive line, I think, more often than not, was to blame for Fordham getting behind the sticks, but also you need your guys when they get out in open space in the flats on these short completions to do more with the ball to get yourself in more favorable situations, and then the offensive line has a better chance of holding up.
For sure. Further, I think that is going to kind of wrap it up for us today in Rose Hill. Thank you for joining us. I was joined today by Gabby Price on updates. Joe Henry was our producer. Henry Wolf was our engineer. Travis Hayden and Luca Cole were on highlights. Big shout out to Chris Carrino and Tucker Austin on the call today. Bobby Chaffardini is our sports director. This has been a production of WFUV Sports.
No dispute, now shedding leaves, they don't give a hoot. La-di-da, oh la-di-da, 'tis autumn. Then the birds got together to chirp about the weather.